Hey guys, what's up?
There
Welcome to the stream. First stream on this channel, so hopefully I don't mess it up too bad. What's up? I'm not even going to try to say all the names because I'm going to miss some. But what's up, Brandy Boy? Nice to have you on here. I saw a few other people that I recognize, but glad to have you all here. Techno Tim, what's up, man? Thanks for hopping in. Well, Brett, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm anxiously waiting to see who we can declare the victor of this super high stakes challenge.
Really high stakes.
Yeah, the stakes have
Really
never
high
been
stakes.
higher. Ever.
What's the winner gets?
I don't know. Did we
Nothing.
even pick? Yeah, I don't think we even picked anything.
I was about to make a, where the, oh gosh, what is it? The whose line is it anyway? Where the points don't matter, or whatever. I was gonna make that joke,
everything's made up and the points
everything's made
don't
up on the
matter.
points that matter. That's pretty much how this is. So,
Exactly.
but yeah, this is it. This is the grand finale. How do you feel like it went on your end? Let's do a quick little recap as well, kind of, just in case anyone
Okay.
missed your side of things.
Okay, so my side. So we had 30 days and a wheel spin in every week, and I got slapped with must use ZFS and must use an off-the-shelf NAS in my first two wheel spins. And I'd used like $130 on a server and a UPS, and then I get hit with must use off-the-shelf NAS, and I was like, oh man, I got to sell the server. Turns out I could buy a NAS for like 60 something bucks, and it left me with no money left for the rest of the challenge. Luckily I landed on like something easy. I can't even remember, it's been so long, but then eventually I got a free NVMe drive, and luckily I didn't get hit with another bad wheel spin.
You had it really rough early on.
There are some things I would have done differently, but overall I'm happy with what I got for $200. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I feel like value-wise, it'd be hard to argue that either one of us did a bad job in terms of, maybe if you're you can't even see it, it's still sitting over here. Maybe if you don't like janky stuff on my side, it would be different. But yeah, so on my side, I had it really easy early on, got the $10 right off the bat, and then found a good deal on a X99 system. Was feeling good until I drew the 75 watt limit, which I possibly could have swung it, but it was going to be close, and it would have been tricky to add just about anything else to that setup. So I decided to sell it, which a lot of people didn't like that I sold it and made a profit. So I guess I don't know. I don't quite understand. Anyway, then found a pretty good deal, I feel like, on the HP Elite Desk system. And then found a possibly good deal on another Skylake system, but it was disgusting, so I had to wash it in the sink, which a lot of people also did not like.
That was good.
Hey, but it all worked, and then I threw the case away, and it actually worked out that I threw the case away because then I drew in our last live stream, we gave the audience some input on what options we should pick, and what somebody tossed out a bring your own case, got that, and I feel like it has charm. We'll show some B-roll here in case you missed my side of it, but I think it has charm. So, and I also picked up the UPS, which just looked like a copycat at that point. You were much more responsible than me, I feel like.
I had to be with what I rolled. I was like,
yeah, you didn't have options. You had to be smart. I just
wanted the googly eyes, man. That's all I wanted on my last roll, and I didn't get them.
I don't know if you can see. Gotta move my mic. I'm not gonna try to move my camera, but
yeah,
I really wanted the googly eyes, so I just bought them, and so I'm actually gonna use them in my next video. But the googly eyes idea was great. So, but yeah, I don't know. How do you guys think it went? Actually, you get to cast your vote here. I don't know how much it'll matter. It depends on how much our guest judge wants to take it into consideration. I'm going to pop this into chat really quick. So, I don't know. I've never done this before. I'm probably going to mess up lots of things. But if you check the link in chat, you can click on that. You can go vote. There's actually 4 options. So if you primarily watch my channel, there's 2 options you can pick from. And then if you primarily watch Raydal's channel, there's 2 options you can pick from. So, yeah. Cool. We have a question here from one of my Raid 10 members. So super appreciate that. A question about the giveaway, because there's some information about a giveaway we'll talk about. I put some legal jargon down at the bottom. Giveaway says 18 and higher. Can I still participate? I don't really know. I honestly had ChatGPT write that for me because my brain was. I don't know if you guys know this. So Brett just got over being sick, and then I basically came down with something like yesterday. So that's why I'm rocking some tea here, and I was kind of in a brain fog. So I had ChatGPT write some legal jargon. I actually don't know. I think to be safe, I'm just going to say you need to be 18 or older, or I guess you kind of asked if your parents, if you have permission. I guess if it's your parent doing it, sure, you can probably have them just basically send an email afterwards. So yeah, if you have a parent or like guardian, yeah, I don't know. I'm out of my comfort zone here.
I don't see why not.
So hopefully, I'm kind of curious. I'm gonna pop up a. I need to move some windows around here so I can actually. Oh my gosh, I don't live stream. Ever.
Live streaming's hard, man.
It's really hard.
You don't get to edit out your mistakes.
You don't. And I edit out a lot of mistakes. I keep a lot of them in, but I even edit out more. So, okay, I'm gonna share screen. Hopefully, don't get in trouble here somehow. We'll do. Yeah, we'll share here. Sweet. So, let's see what some of the results are looking like really quick. Okay. Primarily watch Hardware Haven. I think Hardware Haven should win. I think that's expected.
Biased.
It's a little closer on the Raydal viewer side. It's pretty. It's even right now. It's 6 and 6.
One of the first comments I had was like, "Yeah, I think Colten won. I think he did a better job." It was like one of the first comments on my video. Yeah. I was like, "Damn, how did you even watch his video in that amount of time and then get to mine? That's impressive."
Yeah. It is interesting because I feel like the wheel spin. We kind of talked about this a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. Hopefully I don't kick you out. Okay. I almost kicked you out of the stream.
Damn, I lose and I just get booted from the stream, man.
And he's gone.
Those are the stakes.
It's like it's reality TV for real now. It's like Survivor.
Yep.
And guys, we'll probably get to answering some more questions here in a bit. We'll be hanging out for a while, so if you have questions, feel free to toss them in. We'll try to get to some of them probably a little bit later, though. A link to straw poll, I'll repost it. Oh, maybe. I exit out of it. Oh, my gosh.
Just click the link from... Oh, God, can we get back to the link? Where is it?
Here, I have it here. I'll recopy it and paste it. Don't miss it this time. Yeah, I think the wheel spin thing, we had some comments about it. Neither one of us knew what we were doing when it came to this. We were trying to figure out ways to make it fun. And I feel like it was fun. I had fun.
Yeah,
but I definitely...
wheel spins, yeah, they made it engaging, like to what's going to happen next week kind of thing. But it just made it... Because we were both like, oh, well, we can't actually do this in the wheel spin because of what we already got. So it was kind of like... We should have done all of them at the beginning just to kind of make it a full... Here's your stipulations, go kind of thing. But
for sure. That was good feedback. We do take feedback seriously.
Yeah, right in the feedback box. Make sure you submit it.
Yep.
Make sure your handwriting is legible.
Well, cool. I think we have some votes in. You guys can keep voting, but I think it's time to go ahead and maybe bring in our guest judge.
Bring in our,
Please welcome Linus from Linus. I'm just kidding. There's so many people that were like, oh, it must be Linus. And I'm like, no, guys, who do you think we are? Like, yeah, they're going to come off Wayne Show tonight and hop on. All right, guys, drum roll, please. Introducing Patrick from Serve the Home.
Hey, guys.
A legend, a genius.
There he is.
I don't know about that.
If anyone knows about
tell us who won.
home servers, it's the guy who runs Serve the Home. So it's like it was a great option.
We've been doing STH since like 2009 as a website, and we started doing YouTube a couple years ago. But
yeah,
we've been doing,
and it's blown up too.
Servers. Well, the website's still way bigger, but it's
yeah, but the YouTube's still blown up.
So. It's slow. It feels very slow compared to the website, but yeah. Anyway, so you guys did an awesome job. Can I get right into it, or do you want me to wait, or what do you want me to do?
I think let's check in with the
Yeah.
vote one more time. We'll do. Let me. Oh gosh, man.
I've been refreshing.
So bad.
I've been refreshing the votes. I've been.
Okay. Can I refresh this?
Dang, even
Okay,
my
I'm gonna
own
try
viewers
again.
ain't got me, dude. Even my own viewers just
Oh no.
checking the knife in my back. Man.
Okay, how do we? Sorry guys, I'm trying to figure this out.
What are we trying to?
I'm trying to screen share, so I have something up on screen with the results here, and I'm just butchering it. Okay. I can't figure out what's going on. Okay. Let's see some results here. Yeah, okay. So I think the audience just liked the less responsible, more
They like danger, dude. They like your fire hazard and your
literal fire hazard. So okay, that's what we see what the audience thinks. Let's go ahead and we're supposed to do like our pitches there, right?
Yeah, I can.
Let's hear the pitches.
Here's the pitches. So I'll go first, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So Patrick, as you can see here, starting off, we have a cup holder. Like you've done plenty of maintenance on servers, and sometimes you just really need a good place to put your coffee while you're trying to patch everything into all 5 of those ports on that $8 unmanaged switch. Yeah, look at that. Networking at its finest. Up here we have TrueNAS system with plenty of upgradability. 2 empty slots. You could easily upgrade to 32 gigs of RAM running TrueNAS. 2 amazing 4 terabyte drives. 1 terabyte drive. But who really needs RAID? I mean, RAID's not even a backup, so why do you even need it? Down below, we're running Proxmox, 4 cores, 8 threads, pretty impressive, 16 gigs. You don't need that much RAM when you're just running a bunch of containers anyway. And then you have all these spare parts down below. I feel like it's everything a entry level home labber could ask for, all on one compact 60-pound pain in the butt to move package. So I think that's my side.
I think you also have to point out that you actually drilled the motherboard and you drilled standoffs into the wood just to be able to go and mount that. So it's not just sitting there for anybody that hasn't seen the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's a little extra work there.
I do think it's important, and I'll be fair. I was supposed to bring my own case. That was part of the challenge, and as you can see, I did not entirely bring everything. I kind of had to reuse some of that HP Elite Desk case because of the way that the cooler screws into it. I just ran out of time. I didn't find a more creative way to mount that, so I kind of got lazy there. So I do think that's important to point out. I'll be honest. I'll be fair. But yeah. I think that's my setup there.
All right.
Very nice.
It's awesome. What about pitch number 2?
Okay, so with my $200, I ended up with a nice Xeon-based server. We have the 1270 V5. I had to double check, make sure I got that right. Decent processor. I was happy with my server purchase. And then I got hit with must use a NAS. So I don't know if you can see it. I can't see it on my screen, the B-roll. But I had the Netgear NAS. And when I got it, it said copyright Netgear 2010. So that is the last time it had been updated. So when I initially went to connect to it, I was going to use CIFS because I was running a Windows VM just to have everything play nice together. It only supports SMB 1.0. So that's not good. But no home. What are you going to learn when you're doing home labbing if everything goes perfectly? Nothing. So that's just another obstacle to jump over. And then I just found out today that one of the disks is now dead. Luckily, they were in RAID 1. I still have my data, and technically it's a backup. So if my server explodes, that Netgear NAS that's hanging on by a thread is it's a backup. And we do have 2.5 gig networking. I do have a 2.5 gig NIC in the server. We have no other 2.5 gig clients in the setup, but that's not saying you won't add many down the road when you're using this many, many years from now. And that all ties together with a UPS that works. We'll say that it works.
I was shocked that
And
it worked. By the way.
yeah, I am too, but it does in fact work. Oh, and it came with a GPU. It outputs video, which is fantastic. But overall, and the NASA has 1 whopping terabyte of data or of storage. So,
I mean, do you really need that much more though? You know,
I don't even. Who honestly fills up 1 terabyte? That's a lot. That's just too much. Nobody needs a whole terabyte.
Yeah,
For $200, that's not too bad. That is not too bad. So.
So I'm just curious, really quick. Was my B-roll thing playing when I was talking?
Yeah.
It just wasn't. Okay, I promise I'm not cheating. I even have a screenshot here. I can prove it, or maybe I don't know if it will not. Okay. There we go. So this was on my end.
Yeah,
it was showing your B-roll video, but then I looked at the actual stream and it wasn't playing it. So I don't know what.
Well, there it is, right there.
There's
guys.
proof right there. I wasn't cheating.
Not...
I wasn't, not trying to tamper with the presentation. So this is my first time streaming. Okay, give me some slack. But
you get a mulligan. You're good.
Okay,
awesome.
Cool.
Well, hey, so I just want to give some thoughts if I can. So first off, I thought both builds were super cool, very different though, and very different strategies and approaches to home labbing, which I'd say I really appreciate. The first off, first thing I think I told Colten before we jumped on this was the fact that looks like a fire hazard. I mean, I literally use those words. That is a very scary thing. So, if you want to talk about safety factor, I think Brett's. I probably would be more of a Raid Owl fan.
Yeah, I want to point out on that note in the video, there was a point where I was like, okay, I'm plugging in, I don't see any smoke or anything like that. There was some dramatization trying to hype things up. That actually was. I was actually pretty concerned with that one.
I always kind of look at it like if you manage to burn down your house because you're home labbing, that means that you have failed. So
you're doing it wrong.
Happened, right? That didn't happen, so that was good. But I thought the approaches that you both took were really interesting, right? Like Colten, you went out and you were like a used PC hardware dealer almost. I mean, you started with your $200, you got the extra 10, and then it was like, hey, at some point I was like, is he spending $280 or something like that, $278, something like that on this system, which is crazy. I mean, they kept seeing you like, okay, I've sold this thing for like $1 or something like that. It's so, and then you're driving to go meet people. I mean, it was crazy. I think that the one thing I will definitely tell you on that I noticed was the Western Digital Sentinel that you passed up. There was a little sticker on the back of that, and Western Digital had their own kind of OS, but the other thing that they would do on their old Sentinel series is they actually had Windows Server 2008. I think that was 2008 era. But anyway, they had that, and that actually was a licensed sticker, I think, that you saw on that photo. So that would have been a cool thing just to be able to show people a pretty ancient, unsupported, I don't think it's supported anymore, Windows OS server. I think that would have been kind of interesting. But so that might have been a little bit of a gem that you passed over. But overall, I just kind of thought that whole thing of just buying and selling hardware and just upgrading your setup. Frankly, I used to do that a ton. When we started STH, I had no budget to go do stuff. Definitely different than it is today. And part of what I did was I just kind of found things that were great deals, and I used those great deals to, I ran them for a little while, then sold them. And a really good system was one that you could buy, use for a little bit, and sell it for more money than you bought it for.
Yeah.
And so, I really, really like that. I think that, Brett, on your side, you were very resourceful in finding stuff. And I felt like you were probably more meticulous. The moments that we saw you in your videos going through and looking at different options and deliberating one versus the other, I think you spent a lot more time behind the scenes than you let on. Because I think you definitely did a really good job searching, finding some great options. And frankly, yours is not a fire hazard, maybe the UPS, but other than that, is probably less of a fire hazard. So, I think that both of them were really cool, and it makes it kind of difficult to judge. I just kind of think that we didn't have criteria like performance or anything like that, and with the spins, I mean, it just got kind of crazy because, I would have to say, Brett, your stuff was just so difficult. like your spins were just so hard. I was like, I kept watching them thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? And it was like, no, not that. And so, overall, I don't know. So my thing is, I feel like I want to go with the audience and say that Colten won because, it is crazy. And he had a bigger budget to work with as well. So that's one thing. On the other hand, though, I don't know if that thing goes on fire tomorrow, then maybe I will have made a bad decision. So I say that, and I feel like maybe it's like a 51-49 win or something like that. Because man, I think it makes me nervous.
So it's dependent.
To be fair,
if there's a fire. Okay.
I actually left it running for like 3 days, 2 days, something like that straight. I only I didn't turn it off actually until I moved it over here because I needed to film some stuff over. You can't see my fingers. I moved it over here because I needed to work over here. So it ran for like 2 days straight. So back in it was like April 2010. I did a build that is one of the oldest pieces on SDH, which was we used a Corsair box for like, I don't know, it was like memory or something like that. And we put I put a little system into that, and it worked really, really well for like 4 weeks. And then it started smelling like smoke. So, that's not the best argument.
Been there, done that, and that's probably I think that's kind of how I would fall on that. I would say that I would give the Colten the maybe 51% to 49%, but if that thing goes on fire, that drastically changes.
Well, I feel like we need to do a part 3 now of like, okay, well, Colten won, but we're gonna go for 6 months and see if it catches fire, and then
yeah,
I really hope it doesn't. Right?
That's funny.
But the only other thing that I just want to point out, though, that is really important for folks just kind of watching this and like replicating this thing, is also just the fact that if you were to go and probably sell your setup at this point, I'm not positive that Brett didn't end up with a more valuable setup than what you have. Because once you start taking things out of their cases and stuff, right, it becomes harder to market. And I think that Brett managed to find some deals that were based on how it was listed. They probably got discounts based on that. So I for folks that want to have a home lab and then in the future, 3 months, 6 months, however long down the road, go and upgrade that home lab, keeping things in their chassis, especially when it's something like a Dell, HP, Lenovo that has a big brand name, has a lot of folks that are searching for those kind of systems. That's actually a very valuable thing to do. So if we were judging this based on whose is more valuable, or whose you could sell it for, or who could sell for the most today, I think I would probably say that Brett would win that.
I think we really asked ourselves which home lab setup would you rather have. I think we would all probably pick Brett's. as charming as mine is.
A mixture, dude. You don't want that NAS, dude. Anyone who wants my setup because of the NAS, you don't. I promise.
Yeah, I get a little nervous about 10-year-old plus NASs, and once they start getting
I updated the firmware, and that was updated in 2014. 2014 was a good year, right? We had somebody tell me something good that happened in 2014.
It was before COVID, so that's
Yeah, it was pre-COVID. Yeah. That's good. Way before COVID. I was graduating in 2014. Fantastic year, and But I'd say my server, overall, like, would I, if someone walked up to me with that gear and said, hey, give me $200 for this? I don't know that I would. I mean, but the server, I think I got a good deal on the server. Like, starting with just that, I think would be fantastic. I don't have any problems with the server. But those wheel spins just got me, because my plan was to have this just beast system and just slap a bunch of hard drives in there, make it like kind of all in one thing, and then get hit with a NAS off the shelf, have to use it, and then wasting money on 2.5 gig when I can't really use it. But hey, that's what it is.
I think that's a really good question. Maybe that's like an audience question or something like that, which is, how much would you, if you saw a Facebook Marketplace listing for both of these systems, right? How much would you pay for Colten's versus Brett's? Right, I think that's the. I don't know the answer to that.
I would assume my listing was a joke.
You would have to pay me to take Colten's, honestly.
Yeah, well,
it's so heavy. It's so heavy.
But that's what we think. I'd love to know what folks folks think. So maybe that's a that's a good one for the comments over there.
Yeah, that'll be a follow-up YouTube post.
Yeah.
See who made more money off their final system.
All right, Patrick. So did we land on an official? Was it?
I'm still giving you the
okay
51.49.
51% excluding any fire.
I don't know.
Potential.
As we keep talking about the value and stuff, keep going. I'm kind of feeling like maybe
no. It's.
I'm
thank you so much, Patrick,
in.
for coming on. I appreciate it, man. It's great. I think you had a lot of insight.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm working slowly but surely. I'm gonna claw back that 2% I need.
Yeah, part 3 is coming. I'm just kidding. So, guys, I do want to say something. We didn't know what we were doing when we planned this out, and I don't necessarily think either of us have a plan right away to do this again. But if you guys want to see something like this again, maybe go blow up both of our videos with some comments saying what you think we could do, drive the engagement. Do that. So because I think I had a lot of fun. I'd do it again just for the fun factor. It's been a really good time. A lot of work. That was by far the hardest video I've ever. That part 2 was like the hardest video of like putting together, editing, everything.
Yeah, I think we learned a good bit this first try, and what to do and what not to do.
For sure.
I think you guys did a great job. I'm just gonna say that. I watched. I was watching it like in airports, definitely. But,
I figured.
That was definitely a good way to pass some time, just sitting around listening to some lounge music and stuff. So I appreciated it.
Did you watch my video? Did you watch my video in the Jaguar when they picked you up on the terminal?
Okay.
I just want to know that mine was being viewed in high class.
I did not watch those until the next one. So yeah.
The man needed to enjoy the Jaguar.
But
okay?
when I watched them earlier today, I was totally jazzed because I had that experience earlier in the day. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of a fun heads up. Patrick like literally got in from flying, or he like landed how long ago? It was only like a few hours back, right?
Yeah, it was a couple hours ago. But I got up at 2:30 a.m. this morning, and so it was definitely it's been a long day.
Yeah. So
I got to the studio and realized we didn't have a camera set up or anything like that, and I was like, okay, I got 15 minutes. Let's go throw something together. So.
Yeah. So huge thanks, guys. If for some reason you're watching this and you're not subscribed to Serve the Home, I need to put a link there. You can find it. Just search Serve the Home. Go subscribe. He has really amazing stuff covering all sorts of hardware from really expensive, crazy stuff that I could only dream about talking about to like really... Actually, I think it was I did like a 10 gigabit network video not too long ago, like kind of like 10 gigabit on a budget. And the original switches I was looking at, and one of them I ended up buying was from like your 2.5 gigabit switch roundup, like budget 2.5 gigabit switch roundup. It was like the QNAP. They're like 4 2.5 gig and then 2 RJ45 10 gig switch.
I actually have that one sitting on my desk right now.
Oh, really?
In the new house, yeah. So it's so we have we have a like a guide on the STH main site, and I think we have something like 30 something of these like low cost 2.5 gig switches now that we've gone through and just kind of we've covered them in a number of videos, and also each has their own review on the STH main site, but it's a pretty good resource now. So I kind of like I just got sick of like trying to figure out what's good, who has what's similar to, like, you see like 10 brands and they all look the same, or are they actually the same? And so Rohit's been kind of working on that for our team, just kind of making a nice little guide for folks.
Yeah, that 2.5 gig switch breakdown thing was awesome. I like went through there and like saved a whole bunch of links for like future stuff, and then ended up getting one of those QNAP switches. So that was great. Also, another shout out I need to make: go check out Serve the Home. Like, definitely do it, guys. If you're not subscribed there, go subscribe there. If you're not subscribed to Radal's channel, go do that. And then also, huge shout out to Techno Tim. He's in the chat hanging out. But Techno Tim was actually our backup judge, just in case like flights got delayed or something like that, and Patrick couldn't make it, and so he was all prepped to like hop on and be the backup judge. So make sure and go show some love to Techno Tim as well. Huge shout out. What a guy. Yeah. Way to go, Tim.
I wonder what Tim would have picked, because that might have just hinged on the judge, right?
Yeah, Tim. What were you thinking? Let us know.
Tim, just pick me to cause chaos.
Yeah, cause chaos. I don't know. I feel like all of his stuff is like so clean and like well put together and like organized. I feel like you'd probably lean more on a Radal side if I had to guess.
If I were to slap some RGB on some,
that's what you're missing.
inside of my NAS. That would have done it.
Yeah, but
I literally had 40 cents left at the end. I was thinking about what can I even like
do for
what
40
fun
cents.
thing like there's nothing you can buy for 40 cents, man. I should have just put the pennies on there. I should have glued 40 pennies to the side. That's about all I could have done.
I love how all Tim has said is LOL.
He's staying out
actual.
of this, man.
Yeah, he's
LED.
Yeah.
LED light would have tipped the
Tipped the
scale.
scale,
Yep,
Yep,
for
I knew
sure.
it.
Well, cool. Well, man, I think that's pretty much it. I do need to talk about the giveaway. So, I don't even know what that. I forgot to set that up. I'll be honest, guys. We kind of prepped the stream earlier today, and then I was like, I'm gonna go take some Dayquil and take a nap because I'm in a brain fog. So, we'll do the giveaway a little bit later because I'll have to set it up, and I don't want to do that right now. So, yeah. Or maybe I should start working on that. How about you guys talk about something while I figure that out? I'm so sorry.
No, you're good, dude. Go for it. So yeah, Patrick, you said you were talking before, like before we got into the stream, how like the website itself just like blew up compared to YouTube. And I have to ask you, like, what do you actually enjoy doing more, like the YouTube side or the writing side?
I mean, I don't get to write as much, and like I don't like I'm on YouTube, but like we have folks that actually test a lot of the
Right.
stuff and doing the writing in the background. And so there are some things that we do, like when we go like and do deep dives into new processors and new technologies and stuff that I actually like to read because I like to skim, and I'm just kind of, that's how I am. I like to skim, and so I guess maybe I like writing because I like referencing those pieces years later and stuff.
Yeah.
I think though that just one of the things that we just did was we just moved from Austin, Texas out to Scottsdale, got a 2,400 square foot studio. And the reason for that really is just because I think that doing the video side is frankly, kind of more fun and more challenging. We've grown the website to be really large. So I think the YouTube side is something that, I will tell you, it was 2019 and I was walking around Taipei and Linus was like, hey, can you come on, and do like a LTT thing? We want to do this like jellyfish fryer thing. I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, you really need to go do video. And I was like, nah, I don't think I need to do video. Like, I don't think I'm going to do that. I think you can do that. I'm just going to keep writing and stuff like that. And, I saw their setup. And then eventually, like starting 2020, we got like a little 300 square foot studio just to do photography and maybe do some videos. And, ever since then, I think I just kind of have gotten the bug just to kind of keep pushing on the video side. And so, but we still produce content every single day for the STH main site, and we've done that every day for years. Whereas we do like one video a week on the video side, so a little bit different, just as all of STH. So, yeah.
I mean, definitely applaud you for that because I know probably 99% of people in here have, whether they know it or not, have stumbled across a Serve the Home post at some point. Because when you're researching stuff, guaranteed you'll find it there. Because I know when I was having issues with when I set up my 3-node HA Proxmox cluster, I got these little Supermicro X10 something with the Xeon D1521 in there.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I was on, I think you have like a couple of posts that were going through like reviewing those, and some of them were like troubleshooting steps because I was running into issues with one of my boards and I was trying to like reflash the freaking firmware and the BMC and all this stuff, and I must have flopped between both of those a billion times. So I was most of the traffic that day, guaranteed.
Yeah, Tim mentioned the Tiny Micro stuff. I feel like I referenced that a whole bunch when I was doing some videos covering a lot of those little like 1 liter PCs. Actually, I remember I referenced Serve the Home one time because I got a comment where someone was like, no one calls those 1 liter PCs. And I was like, I like remember seeing that in like a Serve the Home article somewhere. So I went and like copy pasted like that link and was like, here you go. If Serve the Home says it's that, it's that. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I do a lot of like the press briefings and analyst briefings for all the big vendors and stuff, right? And so for years they've called those 1 liter PCs. That's like there's like actually a segment where a lot of their marketing materials they even have like 1 liter PC segment, and that was actually a fun project. That fun thing that was during COVID. We no longer could get like new product to go review, so I didn't know what to do because I was like, are we gonna like shut down the site? Like, how do we get stuff? And so I just started ordering those things on eBay. And then, somebody was telling me like probably about a year or two ago that like you can actually go on eBay and like type in tiny mini micro and you actually start getting results now, which is, I just think it's kind of fun.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Oh, another one, the HP, was it T620 or something? I did like a video on one of those. And I was trying to find some information on it. I was trying to find information on the Plus model that has like the PCIe slot.
Yeah.
And it was one of like your really early videos, and it was super cool to like see that and be like, man, they've been doing stuff for quite some time now. So it was still great even back then.
I don't know if when I watch our old videos, I get.
Oh, I mean, I think we all do.
So.
That's gonna be like a compilation video or like a collab video. Everyone has to sit down and watch their first video on YouTube and react to it. I don't know if I could do it. I feel like I would cringe.
I feel like I would struggle more to watch the first videos where I was on camera because like for a while I was off camera. It was all just voiceover. I think I could handle those more than like the first time on camera would be rough. So.
My first ones where I used the teleprompter and I literally got a ton of comments like we can tell you reading because I would go like I'd be like like this typewriter head or something, and so that was pretty bad. That was pretty sad back in the day. So we don't use teleprompters anymore because I can't do it.
That's funny.
I actually that reminds me of because I use a teleprompter, but I use my phone for it and I keep it like this way so that I'm not. And I had gotten one that fits an iPad because I was like, oh man, it's gonna be so much better if I get like an iPad to do it with. Way bigger screen. So I get it, I type all my stuff out, I put it on there, and I start filming and I'm reading, I'm like, this is going great. And I go and edit it, and you could just see my eyes like tracking the entire time. Like, well, I can't use that anymore. Back to square one.
It's funny after you notice yourself doing that, you're like, you start seeing it everywhere else, even if it's like really tiny, like you just barely see kind of the eye movement and you're like, yep, I teleprompter. So also Jeff Geerling, welcome. Thanks, man. Glad you got to stop by. I know you're doing a whole lot of stuff with the studio move in. So
yeah, we got everyone moving studios.
Yeah.
That's a new cool thing.
Hey, I got a new light, so I feel pretty cool. Yeah.
Jeff G definitely did he has done a way bigger, better project than I'm doing on the studio side. Like he's actually gone in and done like 6 months or something like that of building a studio out. So you should definitely go check his channel out as well if you haven't done that yet.
Yeah, that's been like one of my favorite series to just like put on and like relax to is the studio stuff.
Yeah. I watched Jeff paint for like 20 minutes, dude, and I was still entertained. Ain't no way I could put up a video of me painting. It would just be like swear words every 2 seconds. I hate painting so much, dude. I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Well, all right. I have the giveaway ready to go. So if you comment #FireHazard in the comments, you will be eligible for our giveaway. So here's the thing. We originally, at one point, when we were first talking about this, we're like, yeah, we could do like build our home labs for $200 and then we'll give them away. And then I think we both finished these setups and then we're like, there's no way the amount in shipping is going to be worth what you guys are getting, especially on my end. There's no way I'm shipping this end table because it's so heavy. So what we decided to do instead was in the spirit of like the $200 home challenge. We're basically going to do a $200 gift card giveaway so that you guys can put that towards your own home lab. And so there's some legal jargon that I definitely didn't have ChatGPT write down in the description. But basically you need to be 18 or older, have a parent or guardian or whatever. And then in this chat, put that hashtag. And then if you get drawn during this stream a little bit later on, you'll basically just be able to send an email and prove it's you. And then we'll get you a $200 gift card either to, we can do like Newegg or eBay or whatever kind of makes the most sense for your home lab needs. That's kind of the plan. So hopefully that's good enough. I know some of you may have really wanted my fire hazard PC, but honestly, like, I don't think that'd be safe to give away. I think that would be there may be some legal issues there if I burn somebody's house down. So cool. Lots of hashtag fire hazards coming in. That's great. Typing it more than once doesn't help. And for some transparency's sake, we're using StreamYard to handle this stream right now, and they have a giveaway feature, and that's what we're using to randomly select. So there's no funny business. Yeah, because it's a gift card, we'll be able to just send a code. So I'm sure we can make that work. We'll figure out the details. So cool. Well, sweet. I'm going to leave this up for a little bit longer. Patrick, if you need to head out, I know it's been a super long day, so feel free to. I'm nervous that sounded like I was kicking you off. I want to be clear.
No, I just sent a note saying, "Hey guys, I got to get my wife dinner."
Yeah, I started to say that, and I was like, "Man, that's going to sound like I'm like, all right, Patrick, get on out of here."
Well, hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man.
I think it's an awesome project. I really enjoyed watching all the videos. It was just really cool to see the different ways that you approach the same problem, or with some spins, I guess, the same problem. So anyway, guys, awesome job, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. Get some
Patrick.
sleep, and see you later, man.
All right, guys, take care now.
All right, what a guy.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, guys, seriously, go check out Serve the Home. If you watch either one of our channels, I can't imagine you're not going to get some benefit out of that. So,
yeah, 100%.
well, cool. Well, I'm going to be super TMI here. I've been just like chugging water and tea, trying to make sure I could talk and get through this stream. So I'm going to take a little teensy-tiny, that doesn't make sense, potty break. So Brett here is going to do some Q&A or whatever he wants to do. So guys,
I'll just read every single hashtag fire hazard in the chat, starting from the top. Fire hazard, fire hazard, fire hazard. I'm joking. I'm not actually going to do that. All right, let's see what we got going on. You can tell all the people whose streams are lagging because they're typing the word. I mean, I see a lot of people. I mean, that's good. Someone in here is going to get a nice $200 gift card. You can either take that $200 and obviously you can do whatever the shit you want with it. But if you think you could have done better than us, I'm just saying, all right? If you're one of the people in the comments saying, "Yeah, I would have done this. That's dumb. Why'd Brett do that?" Man, here's your chance. Here's your $200. Or you can take it and buy a single 20 terabyte hard drive. The world is your oyster. Did you guys think to sell these hardware after the challenge, or do you want to keep them? We kind of just talked about it. The initial plan was to give them away, but based on what we ended up with and what the shipping cost would be, it didn't really work out. The idea, I'll mention now, I'll probably post on my Discord or something. The first person to message me on Discord and is in the Houston area and wants the system, you can have it. So if you hit me up in my Discord and you live in the Houston area and you want it, all power to you. And Casper, I see you in there. When are you going to bust out that Switch? It's literally sitting next. You'll see it. It's sitting next to my rack.
I was supposed to ask you, I think.
I busted it out and I got into the CLI and I was like, I don't know what the shit I'm doing. This is going to require a lot more work. It's like a freaking 48 port, 10 gig switch. It's a freaking beast, but there's no like actual GUI. I got into like the web UI and I remember you telling me it's like useless, and you were right. You can't really do anything in there. So it's going to require a bit more research. But I've tried it out. That's for sure.
Here's a Gearling being Gearling. All single board computer home lab challenge.
I'll just steal his system. Yeah. I know where to break in. I know where he keeps all his stuff.
Oh, I hit the wrong thing. I don't know how to do this. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know. I used to never get sick, and then we had a kid, and then I get sick all the time.
I'm literally going through that right now.
So, well, cool. Thanks for holding things down. Yeah, I think we should maybe answer some questions for a bit. If you guys have questions about the challenge, I'll try to pop them up here. Brett, feel free to call some of them out if I miss them or whatever. But
I got one directly at me that says, Brett, funny question. If you had the choice to collab with any other YouTuber than Colten, who would it be? Well, if I'm going I want max exposure, I'm going Linus Tech Tips.
yeah.
But I feel like that's the boring answer. Let me see what.
Who would be the most I don't care about exposure. I don't care about how it's going to perform. Just it'd be fun.
So, my favorite YouTuber right now, and I think it'd be fun to hang out with or just collab on, is Average Rob. If you've ever heard of Average Rob. He's my new. I found him a few months ago, and I just binged all his videos. I actually bought some of his merch. It came in the other day. Super entertaining, dude. So y'all go check out some Average Rob.
The second video that popped up is quite.
Which one is it?
Quite something. I'm how to make a sword with an adult entertainment. I don't know what to say. I try to keep this channel clean, Brett. Come on.
It's not. It's
I'll have to check it out though.
He mainly does he tries crazy sports with his brother and stuff, and then some random vlogs.
I feel if I was to answer that question, I feel I'd have to say Jeff Geerling. I don't know why.
Nah. I would do a collab with any of the tech tubers in our crew. But I wanted to branch out a little bit.
Yeah, I was trying to think if I was going just complete not tech YouTuber, just someone I'm super interested in. If I think about, I'm super nerdy. I watch a lot of aviation YouTube. So there's a guy named Mentor Pilot that does airline disaster breakdowns and stuff like that. But he also did a video with Tom Scott. Is that it? Or is it Tim? Oh, what's the guy's name? Famous YouTuber. This is why I don't want to live stream. Anyway, he did a live stream with him, and they let him basically fly in a simulator, and it was a random person. I definitely said the wrong name, and now I feel like an idiot. But basically, you get to fly in a plane and see if a civilian could land a plane with just a pilot telling him what to do. Oh, Tom Scott's right. Hold on. Yeah, I was really nervous. I said Tim Scott, who's Republican presidential nominee, and that would have been really not the right thing. So cool, Tom Scott. Yeah, I got it right. But yeah, I watched that video and I was like, man, that'd be really cool to see if I could land a plane. So
I'll do it, dude. This is the official. This is the official invitation to him. If anyone in the chat has a hookup.
The aviation aviation and tech home lab space crossover is just it's begging to happen.
I have a friend who's really into aviation and sim builds and stuff, so there is a crossover.
Speaking of sponsors, that Squarespace segment was perfect. Man, I am so glad you teed it up like that. That could not have worked out better.
For real.
I was telling him before this, usually when I've worked with Squarespace, they approve the ad the day I send it. I send it in, and within a few hours, they're like, "Yep, good to go." And I sent that one in on Monday, and I hadn't heard a response to say it was approved until 2 a.m. today, and I was panicking that I was gonna have to cut it.
Yeah.
But I guess they went for it. So cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some more questions here. I bet Tim could land a plane.
Oh, 100%, dude.
Yeah.
I have faith that Tim can do anything.
Yeah. And then he'd be able to talk me through it with a nice guide that I can follow. And
he would have it automated. 100%.
Yeah. And it was automated with Kubernetes.
Yeah. I bought 3 planes and installed Kubernetes on each of them.
Colten started solid, had a great deviation selling the first system, and derailed at buying furniture. That's pretty fair. All right. I don't know how people like I watch like the WAN show and they're like responding to comments and I'm like, man, I can't keep up with like this speed and we have like 300 something people and I don't know how.
Dude, I like
people who stream.
I had like 50 viewers on. I think the first time I was actually like overwhelmed with comments, I had like 50, and I'm like, how do these Twitch streamers have like thousands of viewers? Like, I don't get it, dude.
Especially people who like speed run, and they're like trying to like do all these crazy like pixel perfect things, and they're like, oh yeah, thanks whatever for the shout out, thanks for the subscription, like appreciate it. I'm like, how do you, dude? I couldn't set up a giveaway and like focus on what you guys were saying at the same time. I popped this one up because I actually had someone else mention it. Why did you not go with the Blade server idea? I don't know if you caught that. It had like those little like slots that thing did, and it would have been really cool. It would have looked really cool, but I also would have had to have rethought through how cabling was going to work. Even with it, you can't see it, but even with that top system where it was at, the power supply, like the cables barely reach with it sitting right next to the motherboard. So if I was to do any sort of like repositioning anything, I would have had to have completely looked at cable extensions and figured out something else for the hard drives and stuff. It would have looked cool, but it also would have been a huge pain. And at the time, I didn't think I had the budget for it. So yeah, would have been fun though.
Yeah, I think because I remember when we released our first video, we'd gotten a bunch of comments like, "Oh, you guys should have done all the spins at the beginning and stuff." And we're like, no, I kind of like how we're doing it or whatever. And now that it's done, I'm like, okay, I think that would be a lot better because I think I had a more like engaging start of mine because of the spins I got, and then based on decisions I made, my part 2 was kind of like, well, I don't really have anything to do, so I guess I'm just like kind of setting the server up. And then yours in the beginning, you had $10 and then you got a bonus item. Or what was your second spin?
Second spin was a 75 watt.
That's right. So I think you had a little bit more. You played a little bit safer in the beginning, and then towards your part 2 was nuts. So
yeah,
I think
it's kind of the opposite of what you had.
Yeah, if you just spin everything in the beginning, and each person has these criteria, and it's kind of just like, here's 2 weeks, here's 3 weeks, whatever, go. I think that opens up for more like creativity for the whole time. But
yeah, and I think even just like, I think we could have potentially taken some of those like wheel spin ideas and just been like, hey, we both have that. Now how are we both going to deal with it? Sort of like how, it's no like secret that Scrapyard Wars was sort of a somewhat of an inspiration for this. Yeah. And I think like they always had the kind of like themes. So I think that could have been something too, where it's like, okay, we both have to build a home lab, but we both can only use solid state storage or whatever.
Right.
But I popped this one up. This is like some super like great topic question, but I popped it up so I wouldn't forget. What am I going to do with the HP Elite desk? I meant to say it and then I forgot. I'm basically going to do the same thing as what Brett was doing. If you happen to live, like I'm in the Oklahoma City area, if you're near enough by that you can drive and come pick it up, send me an email. I'd say Discord, but I'm probably going to miss it. So sorry, Discord people. I'm really bad at checking Discord. If you send me an email and you happen to live in the OKC area, you can come pick it up. I don't care. I'm not going to do anything with it, but you might want to have like a truck or a good size SUV or something to come get it.
I like as you were making that plug to give it away, someone came in here and put hashtag fire hazard in the middle of that plug. You assume no responsibility for what the person does.
I'm here.
Oh, he's back.
I had a hair in my mouth, and I was like, I'm not about to pull this out of like deal with this on camera. Yeah, Casper. Yeah, I'm not necessarily in Oklahoma City. I don't like to be too specific, but I'm in the area. So, that reminds me. So in my video, when I went to go sell the Dell Precision system, I actually ran into someone who watches the channel, which is crazy to me. Let me see if I can find it. It's actually the second time that's happened. I had another Facebook Marketplace deal where it was actually crazy. I sold a graphics card, and the guy who bought the graphics card bought it because he was basically building the same like budget, like Unraid setup that I did in a video that he like watched, and then he bought the graphics card from that video. It was pretty like, it was just like nuts. And like at that point, it wasn't like I wasn't 100+ subscribers at that point. I was like, it was just like wild. But so the guy who bought it, he messaged me before the live stream and said, hey, just wanted to let you know it's been put to good use. He has multiple VMs, one running Mac OS, one running Debian, one running Windows 10, Home Assistant. He added some more RAM, and he's going to be messing around with VLANs, PFSense, etc. moving forward. And he sent me a screenshot, but I'm not gonna show it. But super sick, made me happy, made me feel good to know that system went on to continue serving in someone's home lab. So. Greg, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hopefully you get to watch this at some point.
Yeah, I'd really like to give this setup away because other than the NAS, I mean, I think it's a decent. I mean, the server itself is pretty solid. You can do a whole bunch with it. It's such a good base. Idle, I think it was only pulling like 28 watts or something, and when I hit it with a full 100% load, it was still like under 90. Which, I mean, if your home server, if your freaking server's running 100%, then I don't know what the hell you're doing.
If you're doing something that's, if you're doing that and you're like, oh my gosh, but like power draw, it's like, okay, you have to accept at some point if you're transcoding something 24/7.
There's a trade-off.
Like,
you can't complain about power usage for the most part if you're pinning your CPU all the freaking time. So yeah, no, I'd really like to give it to someone who could get some use out of it. So yeah, if anyone's in the Houston area, let me know. You can have it. You can throw the NAS up and I'll hit it with a baseball bat if y'all want to see me do that, because this thing is a piece of garbage. You should not use this.
For most like hardware things, I'm like, no, man, this is, I'm hardware haven. You should save it. But like Netgear NAS, it's kind of like,
No, it hasn't been updated since 2014. It only supports SMB 1.0.
Like at that point, it's almost dangerous. Like unless you can figure out a way to flash it with something else, it's kind of like a safety hat, like a security risk.
Will it let me share? I can show you the UI of it.
Yeah. Do you not have like the present option?
Let me see if I can do it. Hold on.
I'm trying to.
Okay, here we go. Share screen. Entire screen. Let's do this one.
Oh heck yeah!
Okay.
I probably should have like double checked with you before I threw your screen up there.
So this is the funny part. If you go directly to the GUI, it brings you directly to the shares spot where you'd think you'd find the shares, but there's nothing there. I have shares. They just don't exist under the shares part. And the only other thing you can do from there is change your password for some reason.
Hey,
so the default, so you have to go to the admin.
I feel like that's a security feature,
You also have to enable TLS 1.0 because that's all it supports. So by default, none of your browsers will be able to get to this unless you change it. So I went in before the stream just in case I was going to show this off to try to sell it. The UI, while dated, it isn't terrible. I mean, there's some decent like stuff here to mess around with, like in terms of networking, security, LOL, services. There's I mean, some decent stuff here. But I saw this like blinking yellow light down here, and apparently it just says dead. One of the drives is just straight up dead. It wasn't like that.
Super helpful. It's not a failure. It's not a degraded dead.
Yeah, when you go to
that's amazing. Also, Jeff tossed out the security where you're running something so old that bad actors don't even know how to target it anymore.
Yeah, it's not great, but yeah, I wouldn't advise to use this.
So question, security, if you completely ignore the security issues, is the interface more user-friendly and quicker to work in than Open Media Vault?
I knew you were going to say that. Honestly, yeah. So going to shares, I mean, it was pretty basic. So here, there's my shares. Like, surprise, surprise, they're under shares. And then to add one, you just go in here, give it a name, description, and then apply, and it's there. So it's not like Open Media Vault where you have to click through like 1,000 menus to get to a share and then click another message to confirm that you wanted to make the change that you confirmed. Yeah, like I said, UI is dated, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
And here, as you can see,
It's unfortunate because I feel like it's one of those things that if they just did like some pretty basic security updates,
yeah,
it would be completely
but
usable.
unfortunately, yeah, it's been what 6, 7, 8, 9 years, almost 10 years since the last firmware update. So yeah.
If no one comes and picks it up, I'll pay you to ship it to me.
Okay.
I'll do a video with it. I don't know. I'll do something with it. It seems
dude.
It seems like the more I think about it, I'm like, I can do something stupid with this.
Yeah, what can we do with a 10-year-old NAS?
I had a question. I was trying to see if I could like save a comment rather than just putting it up on screen, and then I almost banned somebody. Which
You're getting risky with the almost misclicks today.
It's rough, man. What was the other thing that happened? There was something else.
You almost I think you almost kicked me out before.
Yeah, I almost kicked.
Then
it's been rough.
You accidentally I'm
gonna pop another question up real quick though. And I feel like this says it's to me, but I feel like well, I guess you still have a real person job. Colten, if you're able to time travel, tell your younger self you were going to be a full-time YouTuber in the future, to what age would you travel and tell yourself? Probably however old I was when I had an indie gaming channel that I was like for sure was going to take off eventually. And I would have said, hey, stop worrying about this. It's not worth it.
Yeah, but do you think you gathered skills along the way that led you in a position to be a content creator that you
that's fair. That's fair. I got more comfortable talking, just talking, which is funny to say because I feel like if I still say some of the dumbest stuff even in my finished videos, like, yeah. But yep, that's what I'd probably tell myself is just like, hey, don't worry so much about this. But yeah, Brandy Boy, I almost banned you. I'm so sorry. I would have fixed it. I promise. It's like one of my like raid members too. It would have been horrible. That would have been the worst thing. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to toss them out. It doesn't need to be specific to the challenge. It can be. Oh, it's I told myself at 9 o'clock I was gonna do the. Okay, don't do questions yet because I'll miss them. We're gonna do the giveaway, I think.
All right. I'll see you.
I told myself I'd just do it at 9 o'clock. So I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna move some screens around here. I got a Stream Deck recently.
Ooh. That means you're a real streamer, man.
I know. I'm not even using it at all, which is what's really bad.
It doesn't matter. You have one.
I have
That's all
one.
that matters.
So it looks cool. There's lights on there. It's glowing. But I saw like a thing where it was like, yeah, you can have like you can click this thing and all your windows like pop to this different configuration, and then when you're doing this, they all do that. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I probably should have looked into that before doing this tonight. So we'll do screen share just to make sure there's no funny business here. Let me see if I can find giveaway tool. Hopefully there's nothing incriminating here because I've never done this before. So we have 174 entries. Guys, I'm going to give you like 10 more seconds plus another like 15 for latency on the stream. You get a little bit longer if you want to pop your info in here. Oh gosh, what was it? Fire hazard?
Yeah.
I'm going to mess it all up again, so. Oh no. Okay.
So you just started over?
I just Control R to refresh the tab because I was like, oh, number stopped going up. Okay, everybody redo.
So the giveaway starts now.
Now. Hashtag fire hazard. Go.
I think we're gonna need a little bit more than.
God, I hate the fact that I'm doing this in front of Tim because like he actually streams really well and stuff. I need to hop in more of his streams.
Look, hey, all you gotta say is there's nowhere to go but up after this one, dude. And
we'll
10
see.
streams from now, you're gonna be looking back on your younger self and laughing at the time you restarted your giveaway.
Okay, we were at like 174, I think. The amount of fire hazards coming in is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel like
he's farming those impressions. Oh,
yeah,
whoops,
man.
guys!
No.
Guess you're gonna have to spam the comments again.
If you wanna be into this, consider for this giveaway, you need to go put put the entire Home Lab playlist on Reloop for the next week.
You actually have to watch all of our videos for 24 hours straight. You have to get 10 people to sign up. We're running like a.
I've seen a lot of duplicates, guys. It's only going to include you once, so you don't need to keep typing it. I appreciate the enthusiasm, though. Okay, I feel like if you were watching live, you had enough time.
Yeah, I think so.
150. We got 150. Here we go. 3, 2,
Drum roll,
1.
please. And the winner, is it going to give us some cool animation? Oh, it does.
Oh, it did. Did it do sound? I don't know. I think the tab might be muted. I feel like it's better to not have Georgios992. I hope I said that right. Georgios992.
Congratulations.
So yeah, I have this right here. I have your username. Send me an email. You can just go to like my the like Hardware Haven channel. Go to like the links up at the top or whatever. It's info@hardwarehaven.media. So, but you can send me an email. And then I'll just have to like prove that this is you. We'll figure it all out though. So just send me an email, hit me up, and we'll figure this out. So if it's not you, don't send me an email because we're gonna figure it out, and that's lame. So don't be lame.
Yeah, we need forensics and.
None of you guys are lame though.
Blood samples.
We don't have a Congrats, GG. Congrats, $200 towards your home lab. I'm excited to see how it's gonna turn out. So
yeah, I was telling them all when you had taken a break, I was trash talking the comment section, telling them if there's anyone out there who came to our videos and was hitting us up in the comments saying what we should or shouldn't have done, saying they could do it better, there's your chance.
Yeah. All right. Want to do some questions?
Let's do it.
First of all, whoever said, what if I send you an unrelated email? If it makes sense, sure. If it's just nonsense, then I'm just going to ignore it. But I try to actually respond to emails pretty well. I do that better than most other things. So here's one. And I think any question that makes sense for both of us, we can kind of both answer it. Colten, what are you when you're done with video/computer builds? What do you do with them? Honestly, at this point, for the most part, I just hang on to them. I think for a while it was more so. It's kind of been. There were so many times where I'd be in the middle of a project and be like, "Oh man, I wish I had this like CPU or something that I could test out, or I need some like extra RAM." And so for the past like probably year and a half, close to 2 years now, I've mostly just been kind of storing it. I have some storage out in my garage now. I have some storage in here in my studio office room. I think I started to kind of hit the point where I was like, okay, I won't be able to hang on to all of this. So I actually started doing kind of a program. If you're one of my RAID 10 or RAID 5 members, I kind of have like a little program I'm calling Garage Sales, which is like where I'm just kind of selling some stuff at pretty discounted prices for those people. So I do that, and then I may start just like selling stuff on eBay once I... It's a little tricky because I also feel weird. I don't even know. What about with like stuff that gets sent over for like review? I don't even know, because there are certain like weird things where that could potentially be like the property of them unless they explicitly say it's like your property or whatever.
Yeah. I've kind of taken the stance like I've had one company ever ask me to send something back after they've sent it to me. And I've kind of, I don't know, some YouTubers and some people I talk to are in that same boat where it's like, okay, if a company sends me something, I can't give it away, and because technically it's still their property. It never officially like signed off on anything, so they don't give it away. But for the most part, with a lot of my stuff, I try to find like the mods in my Discord, or like just in general people in my Discord. I'll post, and like if you pay for shipping, or just sell it off for super cheap just to get it out. and have someone else get some use out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think what you said rings very true, where you get something and you're like, oh my God, but what if I need this like in 3 years? Like, what if I run into a situation where I need this 4000 series i3 processor on this motherboard? Like, so I have some of that stuff sitting on the shelf that I'm like constantly just thinking, why do I have this? I'm never going to use this again.
At least the old kind of stuff, like the old stuff's kind of fun because I can just toss it up on a shelf and it's like, look, that's cool.
Sure.
But then I have something like this like Codis Mind that I like took a look at, and it's like $1,000 little mini PC, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with it because I don't have a use for it, and I could get rid of it, but like right now I'm specifically holding on to it because I'm curious. I was interested in their whole like lineup because I think it's kind of gimmicky, but it's kind of fun, and so now I'm just kind of like waiting for whatever else they release. And I'm like, I don't want to get rid of this because like when they release some of the other like ecosystem for it, I want to be able to like see if it's decent or if it's garbage. And so I won't be able to really tell without having this. So I just have this thing sitting on a shelf doing nothing for probably another 6 months. So it's weird. That's been like one of the weird things of like, just dealing with hardware in general.
Yeah, you get a big old, the worst thing is PC cases. Because early on, I was doing videos and like more like not gaming stuff, but like just general consumer PC builds, gaming PCs, blah blah blah. And like I would say yes to like looking at PC cases, and I have so many freaking PC cases sitting there that they're not like crazy enough to where it warrants like shipping them to somebody, but like. If I knew more people around like the Houston area, I just need to start like a Houston area Discord for home labbers.
I think it was like Paul's Hardware that I was like I haven't like watched his videos in a long time, but then he did like his whole like studio. It's funny because like I won't watch any of his stuff that's like gaming PC. I watch like his tech news thing every now and then, but anytime he does like a more like vlog thing where he's like, hey, I'm like redoing the studio, and like now he did like his moving back from the studio back home, I'll like watch those things. So it's kind of funny, but I think they did like a like meet and greet where they were just like, hey, come out and we're going to sell stuff for really cheap. And so they just kind of had like a garage sale thing with like people. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, they're like in LA, dude.
Yeah, there's like plenty of people. And like I look at that, I'm like, oh, I should do something like that. And then I see Paul's Hardware does it, and there's like 30 people, and I'm like, okay, and he has like 1 million something subscribers, and he's in LA.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I did that in like Oklahoma, it'd be like, what's up, Greg?
Yeah, I remember someone asked me, it was a while ago. I mean, I still don't have.
Good night, Tim. You're probably already off, but thanks for hopping on, man. Guys, go check out Techno Tim. He's amazing. He's the best. Go subscribe.
Yeah, 100%. But I remember someone asked me, like, hey, Radal, when you're doing like a fan meetup, like, what? It would legit have like you there. Like, that's it. There's no shot.
Because even if I had like 30 people message me and be like, hey, I live in like this area, we should do it. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah. But it's like the same thing with this live stream. The beginning of this live stream was just like full of people that were like, oh, well, it's not going to work for, like time zones or whatever. But you're just trying to like figure out when schedules would work with people. It's, it's tricky. So I've realized I just keep playing with this. Like it's sitting on my desk and I've just been like, like fidget toy playing with it. And this is the header that I desoldered off the Lenovo motherboard. And I was like,
nice.
It took me a second to realize what I was playing with. I was like, oh, yeah, that's that. So I popped this question up. Hardware Haven and Radal. Have you ever gotten something to review and it was not great? Yeah, that's like most. I mean, if you're saying not great is in like the like literal like it's not like amazing, but it could be solid. That's like pretty much most everything I've looked at. If there's something that's just terrible,
I think he's trying to be nice with the words.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. You can go ahead if you can think of something. But like I almost said TerraMaster, but I'm like the software is terrible, but like the hardware is solid. I don't do a ton of reviews. So.
Yeah, when I read the question, like 2 things came to mind. One was the TerraMaster, because boy, that software is ass. And
yes,
they had asked me like a couple, I think maybe like a month ago, like, hey, we got our new NAS. You want to review it? I was like, does it have new software? No. Well, then no.
Yeah, that was like literally they said something like, "Hey, we have this new thing." Also, because I think I thought they just like wrote me off after I trashed their software in the one
That's
video
what
I
I thought.
did, and then they reached out and were like, "Hey," and I was like, "Oh, cool. You didn't say anything before with all my recommendations." I said, but okay, whatever. They but it was like the same thing. They were like, because I mentioned, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm really interested until like maybe the software there's updates, and they're like, hey, well, there's like this new version of the software, and I was like, oh, sweet, I'd love to check it out. They're like, great, well, it's still in beta, so, but do you want to check out this
like a
NAS?
bunch
And
of their apps.
I was like, no, man, I don't, I really don't.
The main thing that pissed me off with theirs was one of the biggest features on that a lot of people get these off-the-shelf NAS devices for is for easy syncing from their desktop to their NAS.
Yeah.
And Asus Store has a client, Synology has a client, QNAP has a client, everyone has a client.
TerraMaster has a client on paper.
Yeah, I was going to say, they even list it on their website. Like, hey, check out this desktop client to easily sync. And I'm like, cool. And I'm like scrolling through. I guarantee you I was on that single page for like 5 minutes. Like, how stupid am I? Like, where's the download button? Like, I have to be missing this because it's got to be here. You wouldn't have an entire page about this software. Turns out it doesn't exist. I had to go into a forum post to find someone from TerraMaster that was like, yeah, it's still in the works.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I'm actually just going to scroll through videos really quick just to see if there's anything I see that's like, yep, that was terrible.
The only other thing that came to mind was early on, TP-Link had sent me a router to try out, and it didn't get the speeds that were advertised, and I put that in the video because, I mean, that's what I got. And they messaged me like, hey, this is not what we expected. What's going on here? Can you take that video down? And this was early in my YouTube, I'm not going to call it a career, early in my YouTube adventure. So I did take it down only because I should have reached out to them when I had found weird results. I mean, this wasn't like some off the wall like Chinese company or something that it's impossible to get in touch with. They're a pretty big company, and the rep was pretty responsive. So that was a learning experience, but I wouldn't say the product was terrible. It's one of those things where I got a weird result, and then I should have just been like, hey, why am I getting this? But
I feel like there really aren't that many products that are just absolutely terrible.
Well, I don't agree to review things that have the potential really to be super like terrible, I guess.
Yeah, those all usually just get turned down pretty quickly. I think that's like one thing too with just like review. I feel like in the more so when I watch stuff on like more like graphics card things and stuff like that, where it's just like this general like, yeah, everything's terrible. Oh, this thing is maybe not quite as terrible, but it's still garbage like value. And like I get the frustration on stuff, but at the same time I think I like, you know, not everything.
Well, there's a difference.
I feel like there's this expectation that every reviewer in the tech space just needs to absolutely trash every brand because, like, yeah, like show them. And it's like, if I think there's stuff that's worth it, sure, I'm not afraid to say something bad, and like I don't care if the company doesn't say anything because half the time the videos where I cover their products don't do better than the stuff I would do without their products. So, but I'm like, I just don't see the reason to like even like so I did like that QNAP video recently, and I was really frustrated with a lot of things with their software, but for a lot of people, they would never get to that point, and so they wouldn't get frustrated. And so it's hard for me to say, yeah, this is a terrible product, you shouldn't use it, because if all you're wanting to do is set up some shares and you want it to like work pretty well and like look pretty good, it's like, yeah, it does that job pretty well. It's going to be a bit more expensive than something that's, you know, complete trash, and it's going to be not as expensive as something like Synology that's going to have better software and better support. So good night, Amber. Thanks. Sorry, I'm trying to catch questions, but I'm really bad at it.
Yeah, it's not that like there's not very many products that are like bad. Like the TerraMaster software was bad, but you don't run across like very many of those when maybe if you're just saying yes to every email that comes in to review a product, then you'll run across some like bad products. But like when I have a slightly negative view on a product, it's mostly because of the value part of it. Like that's generally where any kind of negative influence on a product comes in, because a lot of products I look at are relatively good products. It all just comes down to money, because there's a lot of competition in most fields in tech. So,
Yep. And like the Terramaster thing, you can say, yeah, the software is absolutely just a hot pile of garbage, and like there's really no reason to use it, even for like basic stuff. But with their hardware, you can install whatever you want. So like, and the
Right.
hardware is like solid. So it's like you can't just write
that's
something
why I
off
did a
because
follow-up.
yeah. I think
Yeah,
because we did those at the same exact time, like unexpectedly, we both ended up with like a. I literally had to change my video because like you posted the TrueNAS on a Terramaster, and I was like, dang it. Okay, I'm
Well,
gonna do Unraid.
They had emailed me after I made my video, and I think the initial original title of the video was like, "This thing is bad." And they emailed me and they're like, "Hey, we're all for like the review, and you can do whatever you want and everything, but can you maybe change the title to something a bit less negative?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I felt kind of bad because they were cool
Yeah.
about it.
It's like,
they-
yeah, because
the
at that point
marketing
it's almost
person was
like, is it
chill.
just clickbait, and then is it not fair? Which like, I feel like for
I mean,
me,
to
I'm
be
like,
fair, it was bad.
if
but-
I clickbait and I'm like, the worst thing ever, and then you get there and it's like, well, here's some reasons why it might be, but here's some other good things. I'm like, I don't feel that quite as bad because like, I'm like,
Right.
you know, I maybe got some more people there that, you know, might actually find it useful or whatever. But really quick, I'm popping this up just because there's no way I'm going to correctly pronounce that.
You gotta try. You have to try.
First
That's
time in
rule
the
of being
live
a streamer.
No, no. I'm gonna read the Lapis Procure Alliance. That part. I mostly wanted to pull this up because it said first time in your live stream here, and great. This is everyone's first time in my live stream here because this is the first
Big
live stream on the
true.
channel. So welcome to the club. But yeah, really quick to answer your question is both of your home labs, can you do Casa OS on top of Debian or Ubuntu server? In my experience, it's worked just fine on both. So I've typically used Debian, and that's I think what's more officially supported if I remember correctly. But so far I've ran it on I think Ubuntu. I can't remember if it was 18 or 20 long-term support, and it worked fine.
What are your off the cuff impressions of Casa OS today? as it
Oh,
stands?
I think for me, if they just get RAID working in the UI, like if you just basic, and I think this is kind of what they're trying to do with Zima OS, to just have
Yeah.
like RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5. If they had that, I'm like, man, this like checks a lot of boxes for a lot of people. Maybe not all the people who are watching this stream right now, but for a lot of the people who are, and maybe a decent amount of people who are watching the stream, I guess, but people who are wanting to get into some self-hosting, but also are not like wanting to really get into the weeds of the IT world. Like I want to dip my toe in some Docker stuff, but sometimes I also just want to like, I want NetData to run, and I don't want to have to necessarily go deal with Docker Compose to get it running.
Mhm.
That's kind of where I've been with it, and it looks pretty. So I think.
I was gonna say it looks so good, but I feel like because I don't know when I first reviewed it. I put a video out on it like my first guy's Zoom board. That had to be probably close to 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I checked it out maybe like a month or two ago, and I feel like I always get the notifications because I'm in their Discord like updates, and I'm like, man, I feel like in a year plus there should have been more stuff added here. Like,
Yeah,
but-
it was really slow. I'm interested with the. It's really dark. You can't see it. It's just a black box. But they sent me a Zima cube.
oh, nice.
They didn't ask. They just said, "Hey, it's on the way." I was like, "Okay,
Dude,
cool."
they did that to me, but never sent me the actual tracking number. They're like, "Hey,
I never got a tracking number either. It literally
Really?
just showed up on my porch like 2 days ago. So maybe there's still
think-
hope.
I'd have to check my PO box, but I really don't care to.
I don't even
get
know if I'm
one,
going to do a
honestly,
full.
but-
I don't even know if I'm going to do a full video on it. We'll see.
Yeah,
I don't feel any. I don't feel like I'm pressured to because they literally didn't ask me. They just sent it. Like I was like, okay, cool.
Well, that's what they did with this Zima blade, and it's sitting right here, and I don't think I'm gonna do a video on it.
Yeah, the
I
Zima
have
blade
nothing to say about it.
was kind of the fact that you can get them for like $70 is the
Yeah, that's
only
cool,
like
but
real redeeming
What am I going to
quality.
make a whole video saying like, hey, you can get this for $70?
Honestly, if they released the tray, if they just
The
released
tray's
the tray
cool.
for $20, I would be way more hyped. I would have been like, who cares about the Zima blade? Just release that for the Zima board, and I'd be
Yeah,
hyped.
like,
I'd be
yeah, this thing's pretty slick. Like a 2-bay, 3.5-inch, and just like a little shelf on the top. Because this isn't like mounted or anything. It's just like a shelf. It's pretty cool.
Yep. I love this question. Speaking of Zima, in his Zima Cube video, there's your answer. Maybe. Honestly, at this point, I think I'm going to do some sort of just like either can I build something that's two video ideas, something that's like comparable, yeah, that's either less expensive, probably going to be less expensive, but at the same time could be challenging. I'm even just trying to find a case that's like not just a big tower case that has 6 drive bays is already going to be. So this is what I hate is all of these companies right now are doing the whole Kickstarter thing, where it's like they have the early bird pricing, and I'm just like, okay, well, like you say it's $499 for early bird, like so their base model, the N100 6 drive bays, 2.5 gig. It has where you can. It has, I think, one.
It's got a PCI slot, right? PCIe.
Yeah. So here's one thing that's also kind of irritated me. I've barely taken a look at it, but already, and I know they're like really early in. Like I watched I think it was Naz Compares did like a breakdown, like a teardown of it, and like in his, the PCB is completely different. Like it has like a green PCB with like one PCIe slot. Mine has 2 PCIe slots. Which I'm kind of fascinated because it's an M100. It has 9 PCIe lanes. It has 6 like hot swappable drive bays, 3 NVMe ports, and a physical 16, and then I think like a physical by 4. But I'm guessing those are probably both only wired up for like 2 or something, because like I'm trying to figure out where they're getting all the PCIe lanes from without just like a ton of switching. Or I'm not a hardware expert though, even though it's in my channel name.
I'm not a hardware guy.
Yeah, but like I noticed I was looking at the Kickstarter thing, and they literally only list 1 PCIe slot and 1 NVMe slot on like the base. So I'm like, I don't even know what model they sent me necessarily. Like it's just kind of like, it's kind of a mess. But at the same time, if like what they sent me you can get for $500, it could. I think that's the video I'm probably gonna end up doing, which is like, okay, this is $500. I think a lot of people want something that's a little bit cheaper. But realistically, if you build something that has these features, how much money can you really save? You probably can save some, but and then the other idea was more of just like, are we kind of in a golden age of like home lab, or like are we like on the cusp of like a golden age of like new hardware for home lab type stuff?
Well,
I can't show it off because it's literally doing. I have it running unraid and it's still finishing. Let me see if it's done. Hold on. I want to show something off on this stream because I think you'll appreciate it. But go ahead. Sorry.
I don't even know what I was getting at.
My bad. I suck.
I was gonna say, like, I've come to the conclusion that, I'm not gonna say I've come to the conclusion like it's some big revelation, but as I've gotten more into home labbing stuff, it's quite apparent that you don't need much horsepower to run a lot of stuff in your home lab. A lot of like services and home lab type stuff don't require a lot of CPU power outside of like transcoding and Plex, like and media stuff. Like you're not. A lot of people aren't doing like machine. What is that? The googly eyes.
I bought the googly eyes, man. So this is
I can't even tell.
So it's a AUStar. This is a spoiler for the next video that gets going to go up on my channel. But it's their AUStar R1. So it's like a little N100, but it's got the like 3.5 inch drive bays, and I think it's like 270.
Yeah.
And so that's the video is kind of like this thing does it all, because like spoiler,
It does it all.
I actually ran Windows as a like home server for the first time.
Nice.
Because basically I had it just like running in my living room. Well, I had it running in here. I'm gonna put it in my living room as like, hey, you can like stream, do like in-home streaming, play some games on the TV, watch TV, whatever. But also it's like functioning as a NAS and running Jellyfin, like real like basic like this probably isn't the thing that you're going to buy, but like this is the great thing to buy for your friend who's like not tech illiterate, but also doesn't want to like.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna get at when you mentioned that. It reminded me like with the Zima people with their Zima Cube. I mean, this is a direct. You're starting to play with like the Synologies and the QNAPs and the
especially
stores.
Especially with their operating system, like with the Zima OS versus Casa OS thing. Like I think that's kind of
that's not even close. Like
nowhere close.
I feel like they should have put way more R&D into their software before branching out into expanding their hardware line because you disagree?
I disagree. I agree in the reality we're in. I disagree in what I think the reality should be. But granted, I'm not like I don't know their, I don't work in the corporate environment and know marketing.
Yeah, they're the ones
I feel like
with the money.
They're targeting an audience where they need to have that software. Whereas I feel like a lot of the interest in their product comes from the people that are like, yeah, maybe I don't actually want the Synology stuff because maybe I actually want something that I can just, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the people that, if anyone that watches our channels buys one of those, I wouldn't be surprised if they tinker around with Zima OS and then after like messing around with it, they're like, cool, let's toss TuneAs on there or whatever, So I think like had they focused more on like, hey, we're just bringing some really affordable hardware. I say affordable. I think
it directly competes in terms of pricing with Synologies.
Yeah. I mean, their higher end one definitely, because I think it's the same price as one of Synology's like 6-bay, like small business, consumer, NAS, whatever. But it's also like hardware wise kind of stomps it in terms of like if you're also wanting to run services on it other than it just being a NAS. So I feel like it's weird because I feel like in one way they're kind of targeting this like tinkerer community that's like, oh yeah, you're gonna have so much more horsepower, you're gonna have so much more RAM, you can like do all this cool stuff. But then a lot of their marketing is like very much geared towards like, are you a video editor, like a whatever, this is going to be great for, and all this software is just going to work. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's probably not going to work. So it's like, I feel like they're marketing to one audience when like, I feel like, and maybe they just know the people who are like more in the tinkerer audience are going to buy it. Like they don't care about the marketing. So they're like, we might market to the people that, I don't know. I don't understand sometimes.
No, I get that. I mean, I see who they're marketing to and it makes sense and all, but as someone who's gets 1,000 different emails from all these different companies trying to send you a mini PC or a tiny NAS or their version of a NAS, the hardware just becomes a blur. At some point, I'm just like, I like new software. Show me like cool software that you're working on. And I was excited with the Casa OS stuff, but seeing the growth and how it hasn't kind of met my expectations, that's not saying it doesn't meet the expectations of other people, but I kind of expected a bit more at this point from them. And then to see them release another OS and some more hardware, I'm like...
It makes me kind of wonder if they bailed on Casa OS a lot, like much further back than... Like, I almost kind of think Casa OS is dead. And I wonder if they just bailed on it a long time ago, knowing that Zima OS was the direction, and so they weren't putting out any updates.
That's certainly possible. I mean, if you have devs in your company, and granted, they're definitely not a huge company.
It's a really small company,
Yeah, you can't have two full-time dev teams work on two different operating systems. So to see a new operating system come out, obviously they were working on Zima OS.
What I'm really nervous they were going to do, I think maybe they still could, I could be totally wrong, is that they're going to make Zima OS alongside Casa OS, and then they're going to kind of go into the whole, like, okay, here's our free open source version, but then this is like our premium like model. And I feel like if they try to compete in that world, it's just gonna be rough.
That's getting into Unraid territory.
Yeah, or even just like
a pretty baller OS to compete with Unraid.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I don't. It was funny. Reminds me today. I posted like on Twitter that I was using Draw.io to map out my home lab, and I'd started on it, and I posted a tweet and a picture of it, and it's like not much is done, just like my main server. And you can see I'm running like Proxmox, TrueNAS, some just Ubuntu servers and stuff. And Unraid commented on it with like the John Travolta, like, what's going on? Like, where's Unraid at? Like, sorry. I mean, I like Unraid. I've
Yeah.
made some videos. I think it's a really good piece of software for people who just want to get in there and spin up stuff and just have it super easy.
Yeah,
But
actually,
I don't use it.
I don't run it full time, and I haven't actually messed around with it for a bit. I've had plans to do like a more engaged, like in-depth series or whatever, but I tossed it on this guy.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh. He just looks like he has a little calic or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I tossed it on this and was messing around with it just a little bit today before I tried to go take a nap. And I kind of forgot how kind of great it is. I mean, there's like it has shortcomings.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
like I
perfect,
wouldn't
but-
use it for my primary storage.
Right.
Based on in their whole like non-RAID model, but
Yeah.
for someone like. It's weird that I don't run it, but if I had a friend of mine be like, hey, I'm kind of like interested in making like a home server for some like have some storage, maybe run like a game server or something, I'd be like, yeah, man, Unraid, it's $60,
Yeah.
but you won't regret it.
It's super easy. Yeah,
Someone
I say that a lot in
said,
some-
oh,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I say that a good bit in some of my videos that like I recommend something, but I don't run it personally, and I just say like, just because it's not good for me doesn't mean it's not good overall. So, I mean, that's what I say a lot about Unraid. Like, I think it's great, but it's not great for me. There are other options that personally fit me better. So,
Yeah, so someone said, Hayden C. said, I hate when software developers do that. PFSense did that. Unraid, heck, Red Hat did that too. Was Unraid free at any point?
I don't know.
I've only
Maybe
been
a
in like
long time ago.
You guys, if you know in chat, let me know. I don't think it was. I could be way wrong, but I always assumed it was never like a free open source type thing that had a premium model.
It might have had
Like
a free like lower tier because like their
Maybe.
their lowest paid tier is what like
Elemental IT says very early.
hmm.
So, but I mean, the vibe I always got was it was sort of a from the get go was sort of a we're looking to sell this as a product type thing. So, but I could be wrong. So apparently I
They
am
got a
wrong.
lot
So.
of they got a lot of traction support with people going to Linus Tech Tips and seeing him using it a bunch.
Mhm.
I think that they blew up once they started seeing videos of him doing like I think he ran like their big 10 gamers, one CPU, all that was run off of Unraid. He did a bunch of like remember he did like a hot swappable PCIe card or motherboard.
All very vaguely, but I know he's like mentioned many times that like that's what he. I like can specifically remember times where he's mentioned like using Unraid because it just works and like he doesn't have to figure out. I remember he tried TrueNAS and was like went on a whole big rant about how confusing TrueNAS is, and like I think that's I know there's plenty of people here that do not like anything LTT, but like I think I have to kind of agree from like a. Because I think a lot of people here, like, you look at something like TrueNAS and you're like, well, yeah, but it's great. Like I can figure this stuff out. It's not that hard to go, hop on some forums, figure this stuff out, or I do this for a living, so it's really easy. I don't know, but yeah, from someone who's just like wanting to get into this, like, some people don't want to have to dive into all of that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I run Proxmox. I love Proxmox, but when people ask me like, what should I run? If depending on their experience level, I never suggest Proxmox initially because it's pretty intimidating for a beginner to come into. I think,
Yeah,
but I love it because I've been using it and I'm just used to it. But when people ask me like, if they're beginners, like I get that a lot in comments on YouTube or in Discord, or some people actually email me like, hey, I'm just getting into home labbing. I watch like whatever video. Where should I start? And I usually tell them buy a cheap server off eBay or Craigslist and throw Unraid on there. If you can fork over $60, it's super easy to use.
yeah,
Or it depends on if you're looking for it just to be a NAS, then throw TrueNAS on there.
yeah, and I
But-
think it's I think a lot of people in this space would be like, oh my gosh, but $60 is $60. But like, a lot of people, you could say, hey, you could go, if you jump through these hoops, you could get this game for free.
Yeah.
And they may know that opportunity's there, but it's just like, yeah, I'm going to spend $60 on it because I just don't want to have to jump through those hoops. Like, so.
I get, I mean, that's part of the core fabric of the home lab community is making your money go as far as possible, which is awesome. and what makes the home lab community great. But at some points, it's frustrating because, yeah, in a lot of cases, unrated is a good choice for people, but just the sole argument of it's $60 is so tired. It's like, if $60 is worth the ease of use and the experience of actually using the hardware that they purchased, then it's well worth it. I mean, that's my opinion on it. Like, it's $60. If they think the value of getting a good user experience out of their hardware is worth that, then I fully agree.
Yeah. Really quick, troubleshooting question here. Coffee Z, throwing you up there. I think he's actually a member on both of our channels.
Yeah,
pretty sweet. TrueNAS question, built a TrueNAS box, easy build, now 7 months later, CPU, smoked CPU, put in a replacement, boots find a BIOS, but will not see TrueNAS. I mean, I feel like you probably are going to be better at answering this, but to me that just sounds like it's more than a CPU, like a UEFI issue.
Yeah, where is it failing? Like, what part?
Like, do you not see the
BIOS, or was it...
Do you not see the drive, or will it just not boot into a? I'm gonna pop this back down, but can you not see the drive when you're in the BIOS, or can you not? If you try to boot to that device, does it basically like?
Yeah, if you can't see the drive, then you're.
If you don't see the drive, then
you're in trouble.
That's probably going to be like a hardware, either something. However, whether it's like a.
You could upgrade. So I've run into issues where upgrading Ryzen chips, I needed to upgrade the motherboard firmware before, and I saw some wonky stuff.
That's true, yeah.
Because that was when they did like, yeah, we support Ryzen's from like 4 different series on these same chipsets, but you need this specific firmware. And I had one. I remember that I did a build on stream. And it was with a newer Ryzen chip on a older chipset, and it wouldn't see the NVMe drive at all. And I upgraded the firmware, and bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah, because it could be like a compatibility thing with like the chipset that like it might post, but something like that. But also, Joe Radiation said secure boot, and that made me think if for some reason the BIOS like settings defaulted when you upgraded, like if there was something there where like it reset to default.
Oh.
It could be, but I feel like you'd get a specific message there.
You'd get like
saying,
the whole
like
settings are gone. Please enter BIOS to
Yeah, but if it tried to boot into the, like if that drive is there, that partition's there, and it tried to boot into it, you get like a warning saying something about like security settings or something like that. It wouldn't just like not work if it was a secure boot got enabled, or it could be like a legacy boot something. Yeah, you might tinker with some of the boot settings, but. Hopefully if you just had so with TrueNAS you can save the config to just like a file, and then you can do a fresh install of TrueNAS, re-upload that config, and then as long as your actual like storage pool's good, you should be good.
So it just goes off to La La Land when booting the scale.
So does it ever say like, do you get to like grub, do you get to like, or does it just?
Yeah, is it throwing logs or throwing errors and
keep us updated? I might try to find another question.
Yeah, this is going to require.
So I'm gonna go way back up. Oh gosh. So Brandy Boy with all the questions. So I don't understand your question entirely. How fast do you think you can buy secondhand parts and make a basically identical system with no specific budget? Are you talking about the challenge?
You want to pop that up on the screen?
Yeah, let me know. Yeah, well, I was going to pop it up, but then I'm not entirely sure, so I have to wait for a response to make sure, or we can just guess here.
How fast do you think you can buy secondhand parts and make a basically identical system with no specific budget?
I mean, I feel like with no specific budget, I could. How long does it take stuff to get in from eBay? Would really be, if that's what you're asking. With no specific budget, it could happen. Basically whenever.
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with a lot of money.
Hello, Patrick.
Welcome.
Oh. I may have meant to put somebody in timeout. I may have just banned them, so oops. Wested Given Music, you're a goat, man. And you know it. I'm sorry if whoever I may have accidentally just banned. I kind of don't feel guilty. I kind of do.
Yeah,
I meant to put you in timeout, so I apologize. I swear I clicked that button. So, yeah, I'll have to remember the username, and I can just register and talking to.
Yeah, I'll be all right.
Any more questions, guys? Come on, toss some questions in here. I feel like when we had your stream, it was just like a constant wave of questions towards the end. So,
hey guys, getting inquisitive here. The someone mentioned oh yeah, you were talking about you said you're running Windows as a server. You're running like Windows 10, or you're running like Windows Server? Like
no, not Windows Server.
Okay.
Yeah, so I currently has Unraid on it, but before that, it came with like Windows 11 installed.
Oh, okay.
And so I was kind of just like, I just like popped it up so I could put like hardware info 64, so I could kind of like check out what was going on. And then I was like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of curious, like, because I did have this idea of like, I do think something like this is pretty cool. Like it's, 2 drive base for a lot of people is not enough. But I think for a lot of people, like for a lot of applications, I think it's kind of cool. And so I had this idea of like, what if it could do kind of everything. So, so the idea is like, this is going to be sitting in my living room for a while, googly eyes and all. And for a while I had a PC in there that we were like doing some just like remote streaming from like my gaming PC in here, so we could play some games out in the living room. And so I'm going to kind of turn it into like a little home theater media PC.
Yeah. That's
also running just like software RAID with like some network, like with like a network share, and then running Jellyfin. And I might do Docker desktop, like what is it for Windows, like Docker on Windows?
The Docker desktop.
God, the one time I tried that, I hated it so much. So
yeah, it's not great.
But this was literally my first time setting up like RAID in Windows, like software.
Oh, you did storage spaces?
I just went to the drive manager and like made a new volume and made it like a mirrored volume. That's all I did.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't even like Google anything. I just kind of like clicked and I was like, oh, there's that. Let me just see what happens. So.
Yeah, I asked which Windows you're running, because I'm right now, well, sort of right now in the middle of my forte into Windows Server.
Oh.
I'm running Windows Server 2022, and boy, is it not great at all.
Oh, really? I thought you were about to go the other way.
No, it's like when you're just so used to running things that are more tailored towards like the Tinkerer and the Home Labber, like Proxmox and TrueNAS and Unraid and those things, and you get into Windows Server that's meant for like people who have been running corporate applications for decades, type of stuff. It is not great. I was like, I'm gonna get in here, I'm gonna try out Hyper-V, see what that's like. I'm like, this is not great. Is there GPU pass-through? And I looked at it, and people are like, well, you used to have this, and now you have to do this, but you can only do it in the CLI, and only if you do it. I'm like, holy shit, dude. And then I was like, okay, well, how about I set up like a RAID, like just set up, built-in storage. And it's not storage spaces like you see on like Windows 10, Windows 11. Yeah. It's like the server version of it, which is weird because their top layer, when you're physically assigning drives to a pool, is like Unraid kind of.
Oh, interesting.
And then when you're actually creating the volume, that's when you pick your RAID level. It's so not intuitive at all. And I don't like it. I was like, okay, I'm going to set up, because I work with Windows Server at my real job, but the gist of that is basically IIS and spinning up web apps. Now I dove into like Active Directory, and that was not fun either. It's like, man, none of this is great.
I feel like so much of it's like just a very different world. Like I find myself, so we're like in a Discord group with a few other like we kind of occasionally kind of talk with some different tech creators and stuff. That's kind of how this whole thing happened anyway. But like occasionally we'll have like chats and that sort of thing. And like I popped in and it was like Tom Lawrence talking with a few other people that are like all like in the IT space. Like that's what they do. And I was like popping in. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, this would be a cool conversation. And then after like 10 minutes, I'm like, man, I am lost. I am so lost because I'm just such an amateur and it's just a very different like world and a lot of that stuff where it's like,
yeah, they deal with like a lot of enterprise level IT solutions.
Yeah.
And they've been around it for a long time. So they've seen a lot of the things you don't see when you're tinkering in your house on some things. And they've been personally around it for so long that, when they start getting down that train, I'm like, all right, you guys enjoy that conversation. I'm
going to go back over here with a Costco less.
Yeah.
So I have a question here. Popped it up. I almost, you read that right. I was like, N1T3, man.
N1T3.
I'm so lame. Okay. What is the strangest stuff you guys have been offered to review? I think, man, the list could go on. It's honestly really frustrating having like a public email because sometimes you get some cool stuff, but the amount of weird stuff that just constantly comes in.
The weirdest one I've got, and I use it as an example anytime I talk to people about this exact thing, is I had a company that asked me if I wanted to review their mini chainsaw. And
that's kind of badass, though.
I kind of did, but I wanted to realistically respond and be like, what?
You realize what this channel is, right?
I almost wanted to get it and just be like, look at all this old hardware I can cut through with this mini chainsaw.
I would have like tried to work it as like, hey, I'm not going to do a dedicated video. I'm not going to do a sponsorship, but I'm going to have a segment on a lot of my videos where I just chop through stuff. And every time I do it, I'll be like, this is brought to you. But I feel like that's genius.
When stuff is just so terrible, I just cut it in half with my mini chainsaw. Yeah, now I'm regretting. I'll have to dig that email back up.
Hey, buddy. So I've never had anything I think that was like, wow, that's so funny. I should remember that. I know of multiple other people in a very similar space as ours that have been offered like adult sex toys to review. And I'm like, who? I feel like so much of it's just like automated, like, and so it's just random stuff happens. But I mean, I've been asked to like do all sorts of stuff that's like tech, but it's like not even close to what I do. I'm trying to think of, I could probably pull up an email, like emails and go through, but yeah, like most of them are the amount of like mini PCs. It was cool when like it first kind of started. I was like, oh yeah, like I think mini PCs are really cool, especially for someone who's like wanting to do like a low powered home up. It's great. But like now I'm just like, I almost want to have a filter where if it says the word mini PC, it just flags it because it's like, I'm like, I don't care anymore unless it's something cool and like unique. And you try to be nice and you'd be like, yeah, I'm not really interested in that. Thanks, whatever. But like, what about this one? And it's like the same thing, but as RGB. And you're like, no, man, like, no, I don't care. So yeah, nothing really exciting. I don't have any mini chainsaw stories. Something kind of similar. I saw it. I missed it. And if I'm missing questions, point them out because I might be. At what point in your channel did Legit Brands start to get in touch with you? I'll let you.
So
what's Legit Brand, first of all?
So the first time a Legit Brand got in touch with me, I was shocked. I think I was at like 8,000 subs. Or 7 or 8,000. The only emails I've gotten from brands were like you were saying, like, hey, you want to review our like 10 gig network card? Do you want to review our, it's like random little stuff. And then I got an email from TP-Link and I was like, okay, this is spam. Like, there's no way. And for some reason they reached out and wanted to send me, I can't remember the first thing they actually sent me, but I was like, holy shit, dude. That's a brand I've heard of, a brand I've used stuff for. But yeah, I mean, that was the first actual brand. And I'm pretty sure it was around like 8,000, 7,000, 8,000 subs.
I have no idea. The first like legit brand to reach out was Ace Store. I think so, at least. I'm like anything of like substance that it was Ace Store. And that was I don't remember how many subscribers or views or anything I was at, but 100% I think there's a chance he might watch this stream, but the rep that like got in touch with me just so happens to watch the channel, and like he's usually around. I wouldn't be surprised if he got in trouble, because I'm pretty sure he worked something out for a YouTube channel that was not of the size that it needed to be. It ended up turning out pretty well. Like, that video's done really well over time. There's kind of two videos that were like kind of tied together, and it did well over time. But I don't quite understand how that worked out, but I think it was really just because there happened to be a rep at Ace Store that liked my videos. So,
Marco from Ace Store.
Yeah,
he's like the only. That's who everyone deals with.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
It was funny because there was like literally like one email chain that was like all the official stuff for like making sure it was all like worked out, and sending everything over, and like timelines. And then there was another email thread that was just him like telling me all this cool stuff I could do with like resoldering stuff. And he was like, "Man, you should fly out to Taiwan." And I know people that can like do this for you. And I'm like, he's a fun guy.
Yeah. I was trying to think, because when you were talking about like getting emails for like dumb stuff, it reminded me of, I saw, like, it was probably a few years ago at this point, this guy just shot up on my recommended videos. It was a guy who does like a puzzle channel, and he had gotten so tired of companies reaching out to like get him to do videos on stuff that has nothing to do with his channel. So finally he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll finally respond and show them." And he responded to one that was like, "Hey, do you want to review our handheld massager?" And he's like, "Okay." So he responded like, "You do know I'm a puzzle channel?" And they're like, "Yes, you will love our handheld massager thing." He's like, "How do you expect me to incorporate this into a puzzle channel?" And they're like, "This handheld massager will do 3 speeds and blah, blah, blah." And so finally he was like, "Screw it. Send it to me then." And he made an entire video about how bad it is at trying to do board games and puzzles with. He's like, "Yeah, like I try to move my parts across the board and it just shakes the entire thing." And he made like a full 15, like 20-minute video about how bad it is for that. And the company like emailed him like, "Can you take that video down? It doesn't show our product in like a good light." I was like
exactly.
That's pretty much some of the people that email you. Like,
that's most of it, I feel like. So a couple quick things. Any brands, or was it? Did you ever lose a brand from a review? I mean, maybe. There's some stuff I've done. I'm like, I don't really know until they reach out. There's been multiple times I thought Synology was never going to reach out again to me, because like the one time they sent something over, I basically just griped that it was like, it was basically just like, "Yep, Synology software is good, but this thing's super overpriced and probably not worth it." And they didn't talk to me for a while, and then all of a sudden they reached out not too long ago. So it's hard to tell if you've lost a brand, because like a lot of times they just don't keep like an open line of communication, I think. So right. Yeah, Jeff, we're still on going for WAN show record.
Yeah, go everyone go in the WAN show right now
and say,
and tell them
get
to
over,
leave and come to Hardware Haven's live stream.
Everybody go get banned on LTT's channel. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure half of you already are, based off the
WAN show ban speed run.
What was there was another one. So I don't know what this context was. HP is obviously benefiting. I'm not really sure where that came from, but it reminded me of a really funny comment I get all the time, or not all the time, but way more often than I would imagine, where it's like a video where I'm talking about like an 8-year-old computer that's like a Dell or an HP, and it's like, "How much was Dell paying you for this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, they were paying me so much to push a product that they will never make a dime off of," because they're like, I'm like, "What?" Like, so apparently I'm in the pocket of Dell, Lenovo, and HP for pushing their 6+-year-old products.
I remember I made a video about, it was one of my old videos where I did an Intel versus AMD like mid-range processors at the time. And I basically said, I think Intel comes out ahead on this one. And someone commented like, "How much is Intel paying you to say that?" I'm like, "Dude, I have like 5,000 subs. You think Intel is paying me? Are you joking?"
Intel doesn't know I exist.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Some people have no freaking common sense.
Yeah. So here's one question to the panel. I guess we're a panel.
Yeah.
That makes me feel important. Out of curiosity, why both of you why didn't we go for a used corporate enterprise server? I think right off the bat, knowing that efficiency thing was kind of, and no, I'll leave that up, I guess. Knowing that efficiency thing was there is kind of marks out a lot of the affordable stuff is going to be. I think two reasons. One, a lot of the affordable stuff is going to be like X79. That kind of era.
Old.
It's going to be pretty old. It's going to be huge. It's going to be loud, and it's probably not going to be crazy efficient.
And honestly, you start to get into the point to where I know buying cheap hardware is good. It's always good to get like stuff for cheap, but when you go back far enough, you start getting into the point to where it's almost not even worth it to run in your home lab. Like, stuff is so old and so power hungry and so loud that you'd be better off, honestly, maybe spending $50 more and getting something newer that's quieter, more power efficient, honestly,
or even just something
powerful.
that's like, even if I found a good deal on like oh gosh, what would it be, like Haswell based, like whatever, I could probably spend the same amount of money or a little bit more and get the desktop equivalent that's going to be way quieter. Like, I'm going to get the same performance, whatever. It's, I mean, for me, like, I don't have a rack. I don't have room for a rack. Like, the only place I could put a rack would be in my garage. And
man, that's where mine is.
Yeah, but so how do you like climate control? Like, how do you deal with that?
So you're going to want to go ahead and watch my video on my server. So no,
I probably need to. I've watched a lot of your stuff, but
I actually have my video. It's uploaded to YouTube. It's not live yet, but it's my What's in My Home Lab Hardware Edition 2024, and that'll kind of show it. But I run a mini split air conditioned unit, and I have these industrial insulated curtains that go around the corner where the rack is, and I just got those. So they weren't in time to test it out during the 105-degree summer, but from the days where it's been like 90, 80, high 80s, low 90s out, it's pretty efficient, like how good they work. So
what about the days where it's like 102?
We're going to find out next summer, but that air conditioner works really well. Even when I had some like cheap Amazon curtains in there, it didn't cycle very much. I mean, it was running, but it stayed cool in there.
That's cool.
The humidity was good, so it works.
Yeah, I think I've just kind of accepted that I'm going to be the, home lab area channel that never does rack.
Once you get a rack, man, once you get one, it's a slippery slope. All the really cool rack mounted stuff.
I know. I'm just going to be. I got to be different. I got to have something that sets me apart.
Big true.
I've never been the cool guy, so I'm going to continue to not be the cool guy. Really quick, what's a good budget for an average home server? Man, it really just depends on what you're trying to do. Like what?
Yeah, I'd say. I mean,
I feel like if you're asking the question, if you're spending over, because I think one of the biggest things, some people say like a home server, a lot of times they assume that means storage, and then if you're thinking storage, it's like, okay, well, what's like a reasonable amount of storage? Cheap. Yeah, storage is what will go from. I think I was kind of looking at like price comparisons of when I was thinking of that ZimaCube video and saying like, could you build something, for half the price that basically has the exact same feature set? Is it within the ballpark of performance efficiency? And I'm like, by the time you buy six terabyte drives though to put it in there, the difference in cost between those two systems is like starting to become almost negligible. So it's like for something like that, it's like storage costs so much, it kind of, it gets weird.
I'd honestly say the server I got for the challenge for $100 is an excellent starting point. It didn't have like hard drives for storage. It had an NVMe drive, or SSDs, but no actual hard disk for mass storage. But yeah, I think if you're looking for like what's the least I can spend and still get something decent type of server, I mean, you can get some decent stuff for about $100, honestly.
Yeah.
Don't be convinced that just because you read a bunch of comments of people who have Epic servers or, freaking
You don't need it.
24, 32 core Xeons and dual socket motherboards that you need that to have a home lab. You absolutely do not.
If you don't know why you don't need it, you don't need it.
Yeah,
like, I feel like
true.
that's pretty fair to say. Like,
Yeah.
if and the thing is, at some point, if you hit that point where you're like, man, I need that, you can get it, and you probably didn't really lose out on anything. You can repurpose. I mean, I think I love watching like Tim's stuff, and I say that just because I watched a lot of his stuff getting into this. Honestly, it was cool to see how he would like repurpose something. He'd have something that was kind of like a pretty big, crucial part of his home lab setup, and then he would upgrade to something else, and then he'd kind of shift that system off to doing some other job. And so like you'll probably have ways of, if you're whatever. Also, I want to save you on the comment I get all the time. We say $100 is a good budget, but obviously like region depending, like things are going to be tricky depending on where you're at. Like, don't.
Yeah, and
yeah.
A Xeon D is a great home lab chip. Yeah, it's Casper, Mr. Casper.
I'm so behind on chat. Oops.
Yeah, that's where I'm running my Proxmox cluster. Xeon D 1521s. I wish I would have gone for the 1541s, but already spent that money.
Hardware hate there. You have a desktop rack. Oh, I guess I technically do have a rack now. It's a desktop rack, but I have this, but I also have in my closet. I have like a little 8U. It's like just networking stuff, but I actually do technically have a rack. It's just
I thought you meant
it was one
brand new.
It's like one they have for like audio stuff. You'd put like on a table, and I just have it like leaning up so it's not tilted. It's super janky. But yeah, there's no way I'm mounting a server in there. So I guess I do. I kind of forgot that I have that. So I haven't touched it in a while, at least like physically. So
for low usage 1 to 2 terabyte NAS, what would you say would be a suitable power draw or even type of system for it? We store all family photos on an AIO PC and have been meaning to change it for years. 1 to 2 terabytes is not a lot at all these days. He
said power draw, not price. Right. So it really depends on how many drives. If you have 10 100 gigabyte drives, that's going to be way different than.
I was getting the fact that honestly, you could just, if you're really looking at saving power, you can get 2 1 terabyte SSDs. They're pretty cheap these days.
Yeah.
And they'll sip nothing. You can throw them in a tiny little.
Yeah, they're probably going to like sit at like half a watt each or something like that.
Yeah,
like not doing anything.
Nothing.
That's one of the things that I think people miss with some of kind of similar to the price thing with drives, where it's like, oh yeah, you could spend $60 on this, but you could spend $45 on this, and it's pretty close. And it's like, yeah, but by the time you toss in 4 8 terabyte hard drives or whatever you're looking to do, it's like it doesn't matter. Same thing with power draw is like if it's like, okay, hey, the system draws 8 watts at idle and this system draws 10 watts or 15 watts at idle, but you have 6 hard drives running, unless you're able to spin all those down, like it's going to be, each of those hard drives is probably going to draw like 3 watts or so. Depends on what it is, like what RPM, what model.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it depends on the system you put it in, but if you do your best to find
Casper. Thanks for hopping on.
to find a low power draw system. Yeah, you depending on the drives you add 10 watts to it, and you probably find a decent system that'll idle, do minimal work at like 20 watts, like 15 watts, depending on what type of system. You can get down to really low power stuff, honestly.
Yeah, it's like I'm so lost in chat. I hate it.
It's hard, dude.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know. Do you have a preference in motherboard brand for? Am I way behind or something?
Oh, you're way behind because I saw that question.
So I think it's StreamYard is like.
Did you scroll down?
What time is it right now? Okay, I think I'm caught up now. I just had to like move tabs, so.
Yeah, it gets,
I'm caught up now. Sorry, I'm not looking at chat I have chat pulled up in one window, but then I have like the streaming thing we're using to do this, and it like froze up, so I was way behind. I started seeing like duplicates like 3 times, and I was like, okay, something's off.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wolfgang has really cool stuff. His videos
He does.
are incredibly underrated, I think. So
Yeah. I like his channel.
Gifted 20 Hardware Haven memberships.
Holy shit.
I don't know what that means.
Big Mike, dude.
What does that mean?
Like YouTube member. Like,
but what's 20 of them? I'm confused. Is this like
20 people, 20 random
sick
people in
brain?
chat just got membership status.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, if it works like Twitch, then yeah.
Dude, I have
Yeah,
no...
see,
oh, yeah.
like,
Whoa. Go Mike, man. Let's
Yeah,
go.
Big Mike, dude.
Big money Mike. Tossing out those
Big Money
memberships,
Mike,
man.
dude.
I guess all you guys that didn't have membership can now go watch the 15-minute, I think, something longer edit of the part 2. It was funny. I finished the first part of that edit, and I was like, oh, like when I first just put footage in, it was like an hour 10, and I was like, oh man, this is long. Like the first half, the part 1, I think when I put all the footage in, it was around an hour, but I cut it down to like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I put all the footage in, it was like an hour 10, and then I cut down like what was going to be like the raid, like my, member version, Patreon version, whatever. And it was like 57 or something like that. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to be able to like chop this down to like a good like 25, 30 minute video and have like a almost twice as long version for the people who like, are on like my raid member squad. And it, I got like halfway through the edit and I looked up and it was only like 7 minutes shorter. And I was like, oh boy, like this is just going to be a stupid long video. So, yeah, that was the wildest edit I think I've ever done. So, I would Brandy Boy, I would assume they're the $1 memberships. If not, Mike is
Mike's a baller.
Mike's a baller. Mike's a baller regardless, but if they're $5 memberships, man.
Hachi says Wolfgang's low power videos are just the current power situation in Europe right now. I've heard the current power situation in Europe is not great.
Yeah, I got kind of roasted, and it was kind of fair. I did like a video where I talked about like power draw and like how much does it really matter in terms of like cost and stuff. And I had like a little calculator, like what's it called, a break-even calculator. I was kind of like playing around with just in the video, and I was like, yeah, let's just toss in some numbers here. So I was like, here where I'm at, like, electricity is pretty cheap. It's like 12 cents a kilowatt hour. So I put that in, and I was like, yeah, and if like over in Europe, like, maybe like 35 cents. And I just pulled that number out of my head based off like some comments I had seen.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think to like go like look up current data. And I had so many comments that were like, yeah, 35, that's cute. It's like 51 right now. And I'm like,
I saw someone that was like, they're paying 60 something cents a kilowatt hour. I'm like, holy shit, dude.
So
Ain't no way I'd have a server rack with what I have in there.
Yeah, I'd
have the Zima cluster right here running everything in my home lab.
Yep. So I felt really dumb. There's a lot of times I get comments that I'm like, it's kind of dumb, but that one was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. I really screwed that up. So
yeah, that's rough. Yeah, I pay 16 cents, but that's because we're on like a solar plan because we have solar panels. So
that's cool.
We get paid. It's like 1-to-1. So if we push back to the grid, we get paid 16 cents. If we pull from the grid, we pay 16. So it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Any more last minute questions, guys?
I was going to say, you want to start winding it down?
Get your questions in. We'll knock them out.
Yeah, we'll answer a few more. Yeah, the undervolting was a big thing when I learned that was like a possibility. Because as I remember, being into PCs and watching like Linus Tech Tips and blah, blah, blah. Considering yourself like an enthusiast kind of PC guy, you're like, yeah, all you hear is like overclocking and adding more voltage. And then all of a sudden people are like, yeah, well, I undervolt it. I'm like, undervolt it? What do you mean? It's like, yeah, it's kind of a thing. It turns out a lot of processors can perform pretty much exactly the same with a little bit less power. Yep. If you're willing to sacrifice just a little bit of performance, you can actually have it run a lot more efficient.
Yeah, that's like almost another reason, I think, a benefit of like if you're looking at running some older stuff, of like going with, if you can find good deals on certain like desktop hardware, a lot of that's going to be like more open for overclocking. Or at least my experience with more like workstation enterprise stuff is like there's no overclocking settings. Like you'll have some power management stuff, but nothing for overclocking, which is where you can under volting or underclocking is whatever. Gosh, I'm surprised I haven't said even more dumb things on this live stream than I've already said. So
hey man, you completely reset the giveaway. That was a good one.
Oh, that was brutal. I feel really bad for the 24 people that didn't get included in the giveaway because I just
I felt like I was watching it in like slow motion. I'm like, is he about to refresh? Is he going to do that?
I just was like nervous because it stopped changing, and I was like, I'll just refresh the page. Like I think that's like a natural instinct. It's just Control R, just refresh, and then it was like boop, and I was like,
back to zero. Yeah, that was good.
Zero. That was fantastic. Where was it?
Any Ceph tips? Any Ceph tips? Trying to get my Proxmox cluster to use Ceph for VMs, but getting abysmal throughput of 34 megabytes with 10 gig network, 3 nodes, 12 hard disk OSDs. How are you? God, Ceph is a beast. I have a like a designated Ceph guy in my Discord who answers all my Ceph questions because I'm running Ceph on mine. But if the drives are going to be heavily influenced because they're all writing at essentially, it depends on how you have your drive set up. I'd have to go, God, I started researching Ceph, and once I got my cluster set up, I like basically forgot everything. But if you want to hop in the Discord, go look at one of my videos, at me there, and we'll look at it. But Ceph is a beast. There are some certain things, there's certain do's and don'ts and settings that need to be tweaked to get it working just right. Terrible answer, I know, but
it's better than mine.
Yeah, it's a beast.
Mine would have been go check out the home forums and see if there's anything over there that might help you out, because I have no idea. So I missed it earlier, but someone asked about a part 2. Nothing currently in the works, but I wouldn't be surprised if we rehash something at some point, just to fix some of the quirks, if anything. So I can't speak for Brett though. This one might be a good one for you. How can I talk my wife into letting me shave my head? I'm not quite there yet.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I kind of just did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm getting closer and closer. I have a big old bald spot here, and so I think she's just kind of on board of like, yeah, when the time comes, like. You know.
That's what I had. I'll tell my coming of light story of my realization is when I had a work event, and it was something like we were building like houses out of popsicle sticks. It was like a team building thing, and there was someone going around taking pictures of stuff and blah blah. And then they had sent out pictures like, here's the event. Like later in that day, I'm scrolling through them, and there's one like of me bent over, and it just looks so bad. And I'm like, that's what I look like. Holy shit!
You just broke out the clippers immediately. Just like,
yeah, I just went because I mean I knew it was bad. Obviously, I mean I see it every day, but when I saw it in a picture like that, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I went home and just got the buzzer and I was like, yep, no turning back.
I've had some pictures where I'm like, for me, it's like the constant reminder is like, if I'm doing like an overhead shot on like a video where I'm like working on something and I'm like, oh, what the crap? What was that?
Yeah.
And then I go back and like, obviously I cut that out. There's been multiple times I've cropped really tight on a shot, even if it's like, I'm losing resolution just because I was like, I got my bald spot in there. So like, I just cut it out, like crop it out.
And it's annoying because like I'd never been like self-conscious about like not much in my entire life, but that as much as you can, like, I tried to pretend like it wasn't. It's like, man, so I shaved it and man, so much better.
Yeah. So I've just been going like, started just doing like a 1 when I go like get my hair or whatever. It's just like it's almost there. I haven't gone to like shaving it, but I'm kind of already almost there. I like it where when I have a hat on, it looks like I have hair, and that's just kind of where I'm at. So, did I miss the special guest judge? Was that a joke I didn't get? No, it wasn't a joke. We had Patrick from Serve the Home on here, and he said I won by 1%. It was 51% to 49% because mine was potentially a fire hazard.
Yeah, it was like a positive and a negative.
Yeah, it was like, it's pretty cool that it's almost a fire hazard, but also...
If it catches fire, then...
yeah, so if at some point... if at some point it catches fire, then Brett will win. We'll have to go back and... I almost said posthumous... oh, gosh. Retroactively. That's the word I was looking for. Change it, so... Yep. See, Joe, this is... I told you I'm sick. My brain's not working. Yes, 51.49 is 2%, not 1%. Thank you for pointing it out. I appreciate it.
Do you prefer ZFS or ButterFS? I don't. I use TrueNAS, so ZFS, and if I use something else, it's usually... I mean, I use Synology and TrueNAS uses ZFS, and Synology I have it running using ButterFS, so... I don't. They both are cow systems. They both support replication, snapshots. So I don't particularly. I'm indifferent.
Sorry, the posthumously only if the fire is really bad.
Yeah. How big was the fire? Did it actually burn anything? What was the insurance estimate on it?
Yes, Hot Sheet the VOD will be on the channel. Like I'm pretty sure as soon as this stream's over, it'll be on the channel, and it'll be there's a playlist I've made that has all 4 videos and both live streams in there. So if you ever want to go back and in 10 years, if you want to go back and relive this, you're more than welcome to.
Yep.
All right. All right. Any more questions, or think we're good?
We're good to call it there. We can probably keep answering questions till the sun comes up, but
yeah, but I feel like most of them are going to be asking about shaving your head at this point. So
yeah,
guys,
Loser has to shave their head, so I guess
that would have actually been really funny.
Yeah. Oh no, I have to I actually cut my hair before the stream, but I have such dark hair that it's like you can barely tell even when I straight razor it.
Brandy boy, how am I ignoring you? I'm sorry. What happened? An interesting question for you. If you were able to create the ultimate operating system, what would it look like? What would be on it? What would it be based on? We'll call that the last one.
Okay.
I'll pop it up. Boom.
God, that's hard, man.
I think my answer would be, I don't think there's an ultimate operating system. We were kind of having this conversation earlier that like when people like get all upset about using Windows or using Mac OS or using Linux, it's like, you said you use all three. I've used all three for a long time, and I only don't use Mac OS at this point because I had to turn my Mac into my work when I quit my job. So I think it's like there can be a great operating system for a specific task, but like I don't
like... this is what I would like. And this kind of doesn't... I would like Mac... I would like Apple hardware. I would like a physical MacBook that runs a version of Windows that's open source friendly, that I can use as easy as I would use like Ubuntu server, like Debian. That's what I would like. And people would roast me for saying I'd like Windows, but I like Windows. All right, leave me alone. It works, man. It works for what I use it for.
Yeah. Justin, thanks for the new member. I realized I was missing. I didn't see where those were at on the thing. So Hannah Montana Linux. There we go.
That's right. Yeah, that's the ultimate OS.
I think I just did go from away sort of from like the desktop era, but like for more like the server side, like home server type, home lab-y thing. I feel like Zima OS, like take like the UI, the pretty looks great.
Yeah.
Super digging it. But like fully flesh it out. Have, it has really great like ZFS support, like multiple file systems, different like RAID options, different like really well done. Basically, take all the best of all of the like NAS software whatever. Just built on top of Debian because I love Debian and I understand it more than anything else because I'm a loser who doesn't branch outside of the things I know. And I think I'd be happy. So.
Yeah.
But
and that's the thing, and everyone's going to be different. If you like running some obscure version of Linux that you've been using for years and you were convinced it's the best, then that's going to be part of your optimal setup. But I'm similar to you, and I like what I like. I don't play around. I don't dabble very much in the Linux world in terms of like distro hopping.
Yeah.
I always think I will. Like I'm like, okay, next year, like I'm going to start getting into different distros of Linux and really, get in there and kind of see what the big deal is between different distros. And
I think I bought that framework recently, and like one of my thoughts was I was like, oh cool, like I'll probably put Windows on it just because like when I'm trying to get like work done, I use AutoHotkey. I have a lot of stuff just like I'm familiar with, and I don't want to be like figuring stuff out. But I was like, I think it'd be really cool to dual boot, and I could like whatever. And like even with that, I looked and they're like, yep, we support Ubuntu, one of the like 20 LTS or whatever, and then support like Fedora. And anything else, it's like it may work, but you're probably gonna have to figure some stuff out. There's great communities, and I was just like, I don't want to deal with it. Like it's not worth the trying to make it work when it's just like So I don't know. Yeah, I do want to experiment with Linux desktop at some point. I just every time I've done it, it's more of a hassle just trying to figure stuff out and.
Yeah, so. I mean, I guess that's the beauty of it, and the beauty of making content is that's what people want to see, right?
Which I love that, like tinkering, like oh hey, this thing broke and I need to fix it. Like I kind of love that side of it when it's like the more like home labby stuff, But when it's like the computer I'm trying to get work done on, it's like no, just work.
I get that. I keep seeing Hannah Montana Linux pop up everywhere. Like I can't escape it, which is probably going to drive me to freaking do a video on it. Yep. I finally installed Hannah Montana OS. Are you happy now?
You could get there's like the oh gosh, what is it? I'm scared to say this now because like I'm really nervous I'm gonna say something wrong. There's like the pathos and like what is it? It's basically like the ways of having influence is by like having like logic or like appealing to emotion or by like appealing to like ethos, pathos, log something. But having Miley Cyrus on your like thumbnail could be that video could blow up.
It would probably get clicks.
It's like one of those things where you're like, yeah, this probably would, and then no one in like your community would click on that because like there's like, oh god, like, no. I think like with the Home Lab challenge, I think part of it was people just weren't interested, but I think another part of it was like my thumbnail, I was like, I feel like I don't know any other thing to do besides kind of like a goofy, like, oh man, this is gonna be like crazy because it's like it's a goofy challenge, and I think that was like part of why some people didn't click on it was because it like they're like, oh yeah, this is probably crap because like there's some guy making like a weird face.
Look at him having fun. Look at him looking goofy.
No,
not clicking on this.
No fun.
Yeah, this shit out of
here. Well, cool. I think that's probably about it.
Yeah,
I'm like literally losing my voice. So
yeah. That was a good stream, good solid stream, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
2.5 hours.
I'll need to do some more live streams. So it's definitely something I need to do more of. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know let me know what you'd like to see live stream wise in the future. Also, if you want to see any, I said this earlier, but if there's anything you want to see in a potential reboot of this series, go just blast it in the comments on both of our videos. So. Drive that engagement, but it'll also be a great place for us to go reference like, okay, maybe next time, what should we do? What are some fun ideas? So I think that's a great place to put it. Don't put it in this because I'm not going to see it. Go put it in those comments. And sweet. And Jorgos992 sent me an email. Awesome. Cool. I'll probably get back to you. I'll be honest, it may not be till Monday because my entire family's sick and we're going to get through a weekend with a sick 1-year-old. So, it'll probably be Monday. I'll get back to you. So, gosh, I want to get off. How's the $5 PSU doing? It is sitting on a shelf. So it retired gracefully. It retired with dignity. It still technically works, but there's a bunch of leaky capacitors. So, all right, cool. I'm gonna get off. Brett, thank you so much, man. This competition was a ton of fun. I had a blast doing it. Thank you all. You're all the best. And I'm going to hit this in stream button and hope it does the job. So, All right. Bye.
I'll wave until it goes dark. I assume it went dark.
It didn't.
Oh.